It's Bettor Sports Live.
Llanos. There goes the runner. Fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job. The Houston Astros, world champions.
First, he goes, and the pitch is lifted to right by Castellanos. Long run for Tucker, over toward the line, and foul territory. Makes the catch, and the Houston Astros do it again. 2022 World Series champion.
This is Bettor Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Network.
And here we are. I'd like to thank you, Fox and Astros Radio, for that clip, getting us excited for opening day in MLB. And you should be excited because tonight for 3 hours, you got me and the homie, Rick Kamla, holding it down right here on Bettor Sports Live. Rick, how you doing today, buddy? MLB tomorrow.
I'm super stoked. We have opening day. It is an annual rite of passage. We all are filled with eternal hope for our fantasy baseball teams, for our teams. I don't think A's fans are all excited about the upcoming season or the Nationals, but you get my drift. I'm super excited for baseball to start. LA. I've got, 9 teams. Didn't quite make it to double digits. And I got a lot of dynasty leagues. I've got a lot of gardens to upkeep. I've got a lot of trees to water, right? You gotta water and groom your stuff every single day. So I'm at 9 right now, LA, and 4 of them I believe are dynasty leagues. 2 of them are industry leagues, and so here we go. I'm ready to go. I got 9 teams. I feel like that's a good number. How about you?
Well, it stresses me out completely because I understand how intense the waiver wire is going to be, which means you probably won't get to DVR Darcy and Stacy on Monday and watch it on Tuesday because you'll be too busy with waiver wires. But that's my Tuesday night date night for myself with Darcy and Stacy. Beyond that, this is a time for us to let our listeners know that starting next week, they'll be seeing that tweet go out during the day where we'll be putting together a DFS challenge, a free challenge for our listeners, our friends here at the network, and we'll be able to rally and talk about those games as the show goes on every Wednesday night.
We'll have some ATS deliveries for the people. We'll have Major League Baseball prop bets. LA, I can tell you right now that where I'm going to live with that is going to be with the strikeouts for starting pitchers. That's where I live. That's my wheelhouse, right? If I'm a left-handed hitter, that's on the inside part of the plate about knee high, just jerk it out of the yard. So we're going to be looking at the strikeout props and obviously other stuff, but baseball is almost here, LA. Baseball is almost here. So
what's great, I'll tell you this. What's great about baseball being almost here is I think it actually may be officially spring in the Northeast. Now, mind you, the first day of spring actually happened. We know that. But when you don't have a winter during normal winter hours back here, normal winter months, you get to the point where you're like, okay, are we going to get snow late March? Are we going to get snow in April? We had one day last week where it was miserable and there was rain, sleet, snow happening. And I was like, here we go. And then it turned to spring, which is going to be so much better for all you Yankees fans, for all you New York Mets fans. Getting out in April, it's always tough to want to go to games that early because it can be brutal cold sitting there.
It can. The game's up in Detroit, right? A lot of times we'll get a snow game up in Detroit. The Chicago Cubs can get some really nasty weather coming through there. Look, the first month of the season, April in baseball, there's a lot of postponements. So everybody just be prepared for that. You got to, you always got to look alive, but you really got to look alive in April because you're going to set a lineup and all of a sudden rain's going to hit Chicago and wind's going to hit Chicago and they're going to call the game off. And maybe you got somebody on your bench you could have gotten in your starting lineup. But that's coming. We're going to get a lot of weather in April with the northern cities. Heck, Boston is susceptible to that. New York is susceptible to that. It's good to hear that the Northeast kind of got y'all kind of missed the tough, rough stuff this winter, didn't you, up there in New York?
We did. I kind of think that, I'm working really in a good way with global warming. Seems to be working out for me because all of my friends that live other places like California, they had snow and rain this year. My friends in Vegas had snow this year. I'm sitting pretty up here knowing that it is eventually going to be time for me to do that day where all I do is listen to play-by-play baseball games and I switch over my closet. I love listening to play-by-play when I am doing a tedious task in my house. It's like I'm at the ballpark, but I'm in my closet at the same time.
I completely agree. There's something so soothing and relaxing, and to a degree coma-inducing about listening to a baseball game, because LA, what the great baseball. By the way, they all have great voices, right? So they kind of like just relax you with that. But it's the cadence and it's the dead air, right? They don't have to talk about, oh, there's a mosquito on his right shoulder. No, they just like, like if there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to talk about. And you will just hear like, just sort of the hum of the crowd and maybe the whistle of the wind through a microphone or something. I don't know. I love it, man. I love it. I've loved it since I was a kid. This is my first love. Baseball is my first love.
Well,
Sports.
before baseball, your first love, basketball, my first love. We're going to give out Ricky's props as we always do because we have a guest joining us at 7:30. So before we get to that, I got to ask you, baseball being your first love, what would be your walk-up music?
You know what? I already vetted this with Adam Bernard, who produces Fensty and Ronis on the Playbook. War Pigs by Black Sabbath. That would be my walk-up music.
Okay.
I'm a little different.
I get it. I'd be Biggie. Definitely would be Biggie. Would definitely be the song would be Juicy by Biggie. And then I would cap that off when I hit my bases loaded, bat breaking, can't even flip it because it's in pieces, massive home run. Then we throw a little Tupac, All Eyes on Me, because all eyes would be on me as I was walking around the bases with my broken bat with somebody across the street that got that ball through their windshield.
So we have walk-up music. You just invented home run music. It's not a bad idea. It really isn't, LA. Like it's production, elements. Showbiz, you've been in showbiz forever, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever you can do that's like new and different and creative. Like why would that be so bad? Like, because Acuna is like rounding second base, you like click in with some joint that he loves, right? That kind of gets some hype a little bit. Like, why not?
Sure.
I think it's a cool idea.
I think it's something that we should definitely go to the MLB commissioner about. But until we do that, because we don't have time for that right now, we've got some 8:00 tip-off games. So I thought it'd be a good idea to get to your Ricky's props. So our listeners, Scott's in the room, Bettor is in the room. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here and joining us. Our listeners can get some action. Oh, you got some 7:30 games. They're just out of order, was what I just realized. Am I correct? So we've got 2 8:00 and 1 7:30. Let's talk about the 7:30 first. This is Ricky's props right here on Bettor Sports Live. You got Jimmy Butler. Do we have a phone on tonight? Can we turn it on silent? Is that
LA, I'm
possible?
almost done with fantasy hockey. I'm almost done.
Care.
Okay.
I don't
like
care.
I'm almost done vetting these goaltenders every single night.
Oh
my God.
Care.
I'm almost done.
Okay, listen, I don't want to hear that. When I am listening to a radio show, if I by chance know the producer and that person has their text tone on, do you know what I do? I text, email, or call the producer and say, buddy, your guy just made me walk over to my phone, which was in the other room because I had my earpods on. I heard a text notification. And guess what? I thought everything is about me. That has to be my phone. It was not my phone. Who in the studio has their phone on? It's a thing. So let's go to it. Jimmy Butler at New York. You've got the over for 23.5 points. That's at -140 right now. Let's talk about this one right here. You've got two Jimmy Butlers. We're going to the over on the 23.5 points first.
So, yeah, obviously, at -140, this is a pretty popular little wager we have here on Wednesday night. He's been over this number, LA, in 8 of the last 10 games. That's a super strong trend. The Knicks allow the most points to small forwards. Jimmy Butler, here's 3 more over trends for you. 25.8 post All-Star, 26.1 in March, 26 head up against New York this year over 3 meetings. Look, this is one of those 1,000-watt games. This is Heat Knicks, a traditional rivalry. This is Jimmy Butler on Madison Avenue, where he's already a star off the court and commercials and Michelob and the whole thing. So you just know he's a bright light guy, LA. You just know that about Jimmy Butler. And so I think he's going to shine tonight. He took the previous game off, didn't play last night, not playing back-to-backs as they gear up for the playoffs or whatever the hell the NBA is on right now. But he's going to be fresh and frisky and shot out of a cannon tonight.
I like it. I like it a lot. Anybody in the room that wants to play it, you better get that in. It's a 7:30 tip-off. You've also got your second Jimmy Butler here. You've got the over 29.5 combo points assists. I mean, that makes so much sense. If you say it's over 23.5 for just the points for tonight, and the combo is only 29.5, like, let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this. Minus 105. So I say that because it's a plus 130 the other way. A lot of people are looking at this like he's going to go under 29.5 combo. Obviously, I don't. The Knicks allow the fourth most assists to small forwards. He's been over this PRA number, points, rebounds, and assists in 6 of the last 10. And so we've got, like I said, LA, the Knicks allow the most points to small forwards. They literally match up the worst of all 30 teams against Jimmy Butler's position. Most points allowed, fourth most assists allowed. So let's really attack this matchup. It'd be like attacking the Tennessee pass defense with Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk, right? Great matchup, bang it, right? It's a terrible defense, and these guys cook them every time they play. I feel this way about Jimmy Butler tonight. I think he's going to have a real big game.
I like it a lot. We also know that Jimmy Butler is smart and experienced enough that he did not fall into the trap of New York City. And you know what? People were worried the city wasn't going to come back. Let me tell you something. Monday, go for a little walk with a friend who's visiting from London. Think, I should introduce her to my other friends. We should go to Bryant Park. We should have a couple of cocktails. Okay, that then takes us to the W in Times Square, which closes at 2:00 in the morning, which then tells us where we should be going next. Another spot's open till 4, another spot's open till 6, all on the same block. I would not be doing well if I were Jimmy Butler. I would not be achieving any of these overs as this was yesterday. Because I'm going to let you know, the kid didn't even work out yesterday. I was like, no, I'm on the bench. So we know Jimmy did not do that. We know that he's responsible and he's going to tackle the over on both of these props from Ricky's Props tonight.
LA, I've had many of those types of nights in Manhattan. I miss those nights. I really do. I really do. Like just bouncing around, like literally in the back of a yellow cab, you're faced, okay? And they're literally bouncing you around the back of this yellow cab. But you're with your buddies, or your girl or whatever, and I mean, the laughter, right? It's the best. Those nights, because Manhattan, like you said, not everything is open. I mean, you'll find certain blocks like, damn, it's a ghost town, and it's like 1:30 a.m., but you got to find the right spots. And if you do, you can howl literally until the sun comes up. I've had many of those nights. So you were a little beat up yesterday, huh? A little dehydrated, were you?
Yeah, I was smart. Got home, did all the right things, had a green drink right away, chugged like 3 liquid deaths. That's kind of to save me, do that, made some food. But yeah, I mean, I had to work all day yesterday. So, I had things to do. But I managed because we choose this life. This is what I tell my friends.
Did you get a nap? Did you get a nap at all?
I did not. I slept for like 2 hours. I'm not gonna lie, I slept for like 2 hours. But I will say this: when my friends are like dying, like if it's the day after one of these nights, we go out with me and it just keeps popping off and popping off. I look in their face and I say, you know what? This is the life we choose. Okay. I don't want to hear no complaining. You chose this life. I chose this life. So you'll see that under Instagram comments a lot from my friends. They'll be like, this is the life we choose, in all caps. I'm like, that's right. Get it together. So we've got an 8:00 game tonight that we're also throwing into Ricky's Props. Again, thank you all so much for being in the chat. We appreciate you. We know that you are here. We're going to get to some sports combo with you. But you got Ja Morant, who's been playing well since his return, versus the Clippers, over 29.5 points. Right now, that's minus 120.
This is a banger for us tonight, I believe. Desmond Bane, doubtful, not going to play. Jaren Jackson Jr., doubtful, not going to play. Tyus Jones, doubtful, not going to play. But Ja is, okay? Memphis is not trying to go out there and lose a game. If they didn't care about the game, then Ja wouldn't be playing. So This is like, these are the guys that held down the fort while you were out, okay? And Ja rested last night, by the way. All these guys had to go out there and rock and roll. So now it's Ja's turn. Okay, carry the mail here. With all the role players against the Clippers. But so this is going to be like LA, when I just knew the situation and then I went and looked at the number, I said to myself, anything under 30 is a bang on right here. It's a 29.5. And if it was 30.5, I'd probably go over that one as well. 31.5, probably not, but we're right at that edge, but I feel like we can go over here. So he's plus 1.5 PPG at home, thrives off that home crowd. Paul George is out, LA.
Out.
This is
Yep.
huge. Okay, awesome perimeter defender. Would be on Ja a lot of the times. Now it's going to be a matchup with Russell Westbrook and Ja Morant. Like Kawhi Leonard, at his age with all the injuries, do you think he's trying to chase Ja Morant around the court all night? No, he's not. They're going to, I mean, he'll guard him in switches and stuff, but they're going to try to have Russ be the primary defender on Ja. I don't think that's going to go well for Russ, okay? And the Clippers, to give you a metric here, they allow the 12th most points to Ja Morant's position, which obviously is towards the middle, but it's on the bad side of the middle. So I like Ja over 29.5 tonight.
Well, we've got some people in the chat that agree with you. Ja's going to go for over 35 tonight is what I see up there. And you've got one more. This is Ricky's props right here. Anthony Davis at Chicago. Under 11.5 rebounds is at plus 105.
So Chicago allows the third fewest rebounds to centers. They defend their position and rebound their position very well. Anthony Davis had 9 boards 2 nights ago in the first of this home and home at Chicago. Was there a game in between? I can't remember. But they played Chicago on Sunday and LeBron's return, and Davis had 9 rebounds. I do know that. Last year, one meeting, he had 6 rebounds. The year before, one meeting, he had 6 rebounds. The common denominator here, LA, is Nikola Vucevic, who's an outstanding elite rebounder. He makes it tough, especially to get offensive boards against his, obviously, defensive rebounding greatness. Davis has been under this number in 7 of the last 11. And LA, you know what? I'm not even going to say what I was going to say right there. Because I was getting jinxed. I was getting jinxy. All right, I'll say it. I'm getting jinxy vibes. Okay. I don't like jinx vibes. I'm trying to hand out winners here. But I have not been happy with the motor that Anthony Davis has been playing with. Specifically Sunday's clunker against the Chicago Bulls. Okay. He was invisible. Like 15 points.
Does this bother you more as an NBA fan, or does this bother you more for your fantasy basketball leagues?
So it's all, yes, it's all of it. I don't like low motor guys.
Yes, that was a perfect answer. Yes.
It's yes. I don't like low motor guys. Like, you're a high motor person. I'm a high motor person. Draymond Green is a high motor person. Marcus Smart, PJ Tucker, Jimmy Butler, Donovan Mitchell. I mean, there's a million of them. They're wired. Let's go. Let's get after it, right? And Anthony Davis, it's like, I literally want his teammates to kick him in the shin hard. Pardon me. Let me take that back. If they did that, he'd go to the locker room and never come back out. Okay. But do something to make this guy mad. Tell him a salty yo mama joke, something. Like, get him fired up. How about give him a Red Bull? Give him a cup of coffee. Like, let's go. Let's go. So I don't, LA, I was going to say, I don't trust the motor to get 12 rebounds. Okay. You got to have a motor to go out and get 12 rebounds. And will he have that motor revved up the entire time? It is a return to Chicago, his hometown. But
all right.
Does that matter to him? I don't know if it matters to him.
Let me recap these right here. Ricky's props. We've got 2 Jimmy Butler props. You've got over 23.5 points, which was minus 140, and over 29.5 combo points and assists, which was minus 105. You've also got Ja Morant taking on the Clippers over 29.5 points at minus 120, and Anthony Davis at Chicago with a very low motor under 11.5 rebounds. I like it. We know that we're going to tap in on those as we go, but I'd like to discuss a tweet that you hand selected and you sent to me today by email. And it is from Get Up ESPN. Durant, LeBron, and Curry. This was a very, very interesting tweet. So we've got to know your thought. They smell weakness in the Western Conference with a wow emoji. You know, the face that's like, wow. That was from Wendy. Talk about this. Do they smell weakness in the Western Conference?
I smell weakness in 2 of those 3 teams. Okay. I think what we have here, LA, is championship DNA equals and leads to arrogance. Not with Phoenix. Okay. They have Kevin Durant. They have the best core 4 in the NBA. And I believe they're going to win the West, and they might beat the Bucks or the Celtics in the finals. Okay. But so they're going to win the West. Put them on a pedestal, leave them alone. The Lakers, so they can look at the rest of the West as vulnerable because they have Kevin Durant now and they just cooked the entire conference. The Lakers, they have not done enough, LA, not even close to enough this year to earn the right to be arrogant and looking down and judging any other team. Look at your body of work, okay?
Yeah.
And same with the Warriors. You suck defensively. You are a turnover machine. You never win on the road. You literally quit on the road and let go of the rope. They literally, LA, fire up the Jets and like just power down in the third quarter. We've seen it all year long. No, I can't give you that credit. I can't give you that benefit of the doubt. They say they're going to flip that switch. Okay, prove it to me. I'm going to bet against that. LA, this is unpopular, and people disagree with me. I think Sac is going to beat Golden State in the first round if they play each other. Draymond just called out Sac and say, I want less travel. I want Sac. In that locker room, they're not contextualizing to the travel piece. They just know that Draymond wants them. He just gave them bulletin board material. I think that the Lakers, if they feel this way that Windy is saying, and he's a great reporter, and if the Warriors feel this way, it is arrogance that will be exposed in the playoffs.
Well, when you bring up Golden State, I'm going to bring up one of our what's more likely. You know, I'm going right to Draymond Green. Should Draymond Green have been ejected from last night's game or not?
What's more likely is he should have been ejected, LA. The way the refs handled that game last night was I didn't agree with it. I'll phrase it that way. So Draymond does the linebacker bounce a running back out of bounds at the sideline thing to Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram didn't like it, okay? Went back, double text. All right, now you got to watch yourself, right? He didn't. He ran over Herb Jones while Herb Jones was taking a charge. Draymond was pissed, okay? And on the follow-through, it was like Calais Campbell landing on a quarterback with all his weight and drawing the 15-yard penalty, right? Landed with all his weight, kicked him in the head like on the way back up the court, and it was just ruthless. It was like, dude, you literally trampled him like the running of the Bulls. It was at least a tech, probably a flagrant one, which would have meant his automatic ejection at that point. And LA, that would have meant that it would have re-triggered another automatic suspension for him due to technical foul accumulation. So
will this happen again before the playoffs? I mean, will he, because remember the playoffs when he actually did have to miss a game over technicals.
For sure. Like he did not, get suspended for the love tap to LeBron James man parts in Game 5 of the NBA Finals. He got suspended because it led to the technical foul accumulation or flagrant foul accumulation. One of the, I can't remember, but nevertheless, man, yes, he should have been ejected, LA, and he literally willed the Warriors to victory last night. He was fantastic. The defense getting in the minds of the Pelicans, and then Clay and Steph, following his lead basically. I just didn't like the way that game was reffed, and I thought the refs over contextualized LA, knowing that if we call this, he's out of the game. If we call this, he's going to be suspended the next game. Like, you shouldn't be taking that into account. Just judge the game that you're calling, and there's no way you can trample a guy ruthlessly and intentionally like that, LA, and not get at least a technical foul, which would have meant his ejection. So I wasn't with it.
And if you're not going to call this, would you guys mind setting up some sort of a brunch with the referees that do the Super Bowl and decide to make a call in the last 2 minutes that they hadn't called the entire game that kind of changed the whole trajectory of the Super Bowl? I mean, can we network with each other? I have a women's group. Could you guys get a ref group growing? Figure out how you make these decisions. But yeah, I get it. It was a big part of conversation today. No doubt about it. In the room, we've got about 5 minutes right now, and Scott would like to know, Rick and Lisa, who are your picks to come out of the East in the NBA?
So I'll make this quick because I'd love to hear your thought. I have Boston, okay, and I say that somewhat reluctantly because I mean Milwaukee is a monster, okay. They're Greek mythology standing in front of the Boston Celtics, but I will be consistent with what I've been saying all year long. They're on a mission. It's championship it's championship or misery for them. And to me, they have the best duo in the NBA, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Yes, better than Durant and Book. Yes, better than, Giannis and Middleton. Yes, better than all of them. I think they're the best duo in the NBA, and I think they're going to win the chip this year, LA. I really do.
So you don't just think they're coming out of the East. You think they're going to win the chip.
Correct. They have the best 8 in basketball. They do. When you go to Horford and Robert Williams and Marcus Smart and Derek White and Grant Williams and all these guys. I know I'm forgetting somebody here, but you know what I'm saying? Like their main 8, I think, is the best in the NBA.
This would be great for the fans up there as well. Let's face it, since Tom Brady left, the Patriots do not bring them joy. And if the Celtics got the opportunity to, that would be just as exciting for them.
It would. Brogdon is another very important piece that was escaping my mind. They have the best 8 in basketball. They're going to have the 6th man of the year, I believe. It could be quickly, but I think it's going to be Brogdon. You've got number 4 on the MVP list in Tatum. You've got probably number 2 on the coach of the year list in Joe Mazzulla. So I just believe in what they got, LA. I think their defense is going to crank up in the playoffs and be better than it has in the regular season. As they get in a more intense environment and we see Robert Williams keep getting healthier and healthier. I will say this. The derailer for Boston, LA, is the somewhat fragile physique of Robert Williams. Okay, if he breaks down, all bets are off, and I don't believe that anymore. But if he's the pogo stick shot blocking big that we know and love him to be, then I think Boston's going to win it all.
Well, I got you right there. I'm leaning there. They played well all season. They're pushing really hard. The motivation is there, but I love the young talent. I think they played well together. They haven't dealt with the transition that some other teams have. And, as much as we'd like to say it's fun when the Knicks go on a run, we know what the Knicks are. They do the same thing that the Mets do. They give us, spurts of excitement and then spurts of disappointment. If you accept it as a fan and you love it.
Yeah, it's it's a big market, small market feel, right? I mean, it sounded like you were describing like my Minnesota Twins or my former Minnesota Vikings, right? Get everybody's hopes up, get everybody excited, and then let everybody down, right? With just a miserable playoff performance. But I see the Knicks, though. I do. LA, I see the Knicks, 5th best.
I will say the biggest difference between the Mets and the Knicks right now in New York City is the Mets have an owner that spends money. And the Knicks have an owner that's very different and unique. We're getting you ready for the upcoming baseball season with a Bettor baseball preview. From fantasy baseball to MLB betting, you can access our exclusive content for free right now at bettorsports.com, featuring Adam Ronis, Ray Flowers, Kyle Elfrink, and Cody Decker. Get player profiles, prop bets, and futures, sleepers, and butts. Our bust. I said butts. That happens. Busts our 2023 fantasy baseball draft and more at no cost. Register now at bettorsports.com to get instant access. The Bettor Baseball Preview at bettorsports.com. For those of you who are just joining in the room, starting next week, we're going to do a daily DFS challenge for the show. We'll put that out. I will tweet it out at the release, and I will make sure the Bettor Network on social media retweets it as well. We will be sweating those plays. I say we try to take as many early games as we can, so we have a lot of content. Even though you might want to be tempted, we should limit, Rick. Me and you can only take like 2 late players, but we're going to send that challenge out. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we've got Ryan Kirksey joining the show. You can find his work at Fantasy Alarm. You can follow at Kirksey Sports, and we'll be talking MLB because we all know opening day is tomorrow. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live with the Bettor Sports Network.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
I just opened my inbox, and there was a little connection to a story at the local paper about salad bars are coming back to St. Louis. We haven't had them since COVID, Ray. I'm a big salad bar guy. I love going to the local grocery mart and doing a salad bar. I get it, kind of disgusting. Hell, they put a sneeze guard over the food.
What is this? Some kind of force field around these vegetables.
That's the sneeze guard. You have to lean under it to get salad or sneeze on stuff.
But all these disappeared. Ray, I used to do the salad bar probably at least 2 times a week for lunch. And I would just load up, because I didn't have to cut anything. And I didn't have to buy like a whole cucumber, just add a little bit of cucumber in my salad. I'm a big salad bar guy, but these things have been gone for 3 years. And I think I'm going to get back into the salad bar game, baby.
I used to love buffets and salad bars and all that kind of stuff, and I haven't been to one since COVID. I'll tell the story quickly. My nephew, who at the time, I want to say was 5, we were on a little trip, and we went to, it was a brunch and everything like that. They had ice cream. So my nephew doesn't know any better because he's 5. Puts his spoon in the ice cream, which is cool, right? He's going to spoon it out, fine. But he doesn't spoon it out into his bowl. He spoons it into his mouth and then sticks it back in the ice cream. And I'm like, so we had to talk to the manager. I had to get him to pull the ice. And I started thinking to myself, you look around, people are.
Yeah, that 5-year-old germs wasn't going to hurt anybody.
No, but you know what I mean. Then you look at this old person and they're grabbing this. It's just, when you start thinking about it, I have a real struggle at this point with it now because I've thought about it, but I used to love going to them previously.
Well, and everybody's using the the tongs there. Everybody's touching those. God knows where those hands have been.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I've yet to see anybody actually sneeze under the sneeze guard. Maybe if I see that, Ray, it'll change my whole outlook.
Right. It's like
there is a reason the sneeze guard is there. It must happen enough that somebody said, we got to put these suckers in.
Yeah.
But I love salad bars, and I'm back in, Ray. I've never gotten sick off one, so it's easy for me to say, but I'm getting back in the salad bar game.
Okay, good luck.
Good luck.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
And here we are back, Bettor Sports Live. Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, joined by Ryan Kirksey, who you can follow at Kirksey Sports, talking about tomorrow, the big day at all, the day that everyone should get off of work because it's the opening day for the MLB. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. It is a national holiday. My kids have Christmas. I have opening day, so I'm ready.
Okay, you're ready. So let's just get right to it. It's time for us to already start making predictions, right? We're looking at the World Series. It's all I heard everybody talking about. I know Rick has his because I save them in Word documents so I can go back and ask them later. I'm just going to give it right here. Cam has the Padres over the Astros. Do we go that far into the season, even though it's just opening day tomorrow?
You know, I have the Padres and the Braves basically neck and neck, but I'm going to side with the Braves on this, and I will be happy to have my Astros in the World Series again, but I'll give it to the Braves just as a rematch a couple years ago.
Interesting, Ryan. Rick Kamla, nice to meet you, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So I believe that Houston is head and shoulders better than the rest of the American League. The American League Central is not doing it for me. I believe my Twins are going to win it. But I see Cleveland coming back to the pack. Out west, Houston's going to win the West. I think Seattle's going to close the gap. And then you look at the East a little bit. I don't know, like you kind of measure maybe I think Tampa Bay is going to slide a little bit this year. My point is this: like Seattle might be the second best team in the American League. I am not feeling the Yankees right now, Ryan. So talk to me just about that premise that the Houston Astros are legit, way better than everybody else in the American League. Do you see it the same way?
I do. Now, obviously, Altuve out for 2 months. The guy leading off, that hurts the offense a lot. But they've seen these guys leave, right? They've lost Springer, they lost Correa, they've lost the guys. They just keep replacing him with somebody that can come back in the offense. They're probably going to lead off with Jeremy Pena. That's a really good replacement to have step in for Altuve. But you look at the Astros, they're not, as you said, the only team that are facing some really serious issues. The Yankees have some real problems in their starting pitching staff to start the season. I think that I'm also picking the Twins to win their division, but every team in that division has flaws. And while I like the offense and the ascension of the Mariners, I just don't think they're in the Astros class just yet.
We're talking to Ryan Kirksey. Ryan, I love the World Baseball Classic, and I thought the timing of it was so beautiful to get everybody excited again. And we also had a lot of conversation about the pitch clock. How do you feel about the new timing of the game? And do you think it's going to bring in a new audience, a younger audience, and keep everybody happy?
Yeah, so I'm sort of of two minds, right? So the baseball purist in me thinks, oh, why do we have to change stuff like this? But then the dad of two kids says, let's do it. I'm all for it. Let's shorten the games and take 30 minutes off so I can get home earlier. But in the end, I think this will accomplish what they intend, which is bring a new audience, bring a younger audience, bring some people that are more interested in, I can pay attention to this from start to finish and not just spend time doing other things, spend time on my phone. It's so much time in between pitches. Let's go and action all the time.
I have a follow-up with that for fantasy baseball team managers. Is there a concern that pitchers may be pulled earlier because they're not getting that downtime in between pitches?
Yes. Now, we've been seeing this anyways, but even before the pitch clock, right? So historically, these innings pitch per start are going down. I mean, I think we're under 5 now in starting pitcher innings. So just on the average. So we've been seeing that anyways. And now with just sort of a ramped up, not much time in between pitches, I think that, it's frankly why you're seeing a lot of fantasy leagues go away from categories like wins to things like quality starts or things like quality appearances. So this is definitely affecting fantasy in terms of how those starting pitchers will work, how long they will work, and what they'll do when they're in the game. But yes, I think we see that trend continue, maybe even more sharply than in years past, when we see these pitchers having to ramp up and go even faster than they have in years past.
So Ryan in LA, a couple of things. I don't really care about the business of baseball. Like, it's not my money. Okay, like, it's not like I don't really care. Is baseball just going to go away? No, it's not going to die, not in our lifetimes, at least. Unless the apocalypse. I mean, who the hell knows, right? But like, I can't see a 15-year-old that has not been brought up on baseball all of a sudden saying, "Yo, I'm going to start watching baseball because of a pitch clock."
Right.
I'm not. This isn't like a rant towards you, Ryan. We're just talking here, but like, I'm talking more to Major League Baseball. I'm cool with the pitch clock. I guess. I mean, I want to get, like, when I'm on my couch, when I'm watching extra innings, and I don't know yet if it's going to bother the hell out of me. It's probably not, but I don't know. I reserve the right to complain about this, okay? But I just don't know. I just don't know if that 15-year-old kid, I'm into baseball now because I have a pitch clock. I just don't see it that way. And then and then here's something that I want to, like, maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm on the outside. I mean, I'm in 9 fantasy baseball leagues, okay? Like, it's in my blood. I've been playing since 1986, Ryan. I have never, ever in my lifetime heard of a fantasy baseball league playing without wins. Now, I do understand bringing, Ks per 9 and walks per 9 and quality starts and all of the, okay, that's fine. You want to do that to kind of water down the win a little bit, but to eliminate the win? Come on.
All right. So first of all, let's get you out of the 80s fantasy leagues and into the modern day. Okay. So what we do here is we have to pivot when the league makes these kinds of changes, when wins don't matter anymore for starting pitchers. We have to adjust, right? So actually, I do find that to be an interesting argument, because I am, for the first time this year, playing in a league that got away with wins, got rid of quality starts, and moving to what they call quality appearances, right? Which is basically you pitch a minimum number of innings with a maximum ERA. So it's sort of we can take wins and quality starts out of the equation, because those just aren't happening anymore, and we don't know what's going to happen with them with the pitch clock, right? So again, this is just sort of the way things are trending. I think that if you go play in most of the high stakes leagues and most of your default leagues, wins are still there, but people are looking at, if I can't count on them, if they're not going to be something that's as predictive as they've been in the past, then what can I use that can give me more of a stable fantasy stat? That's where things are going, I think, in the next 5 to 10 years.
I think it's an overreaction. Cal Quantrill last year had like 16 or 18 quality starts or something like that. Like, I forget the number, right? Like, quality starts are still happening. Okay. Are they happening as much as they were 5 years ago? Probably not, but they're still happening. Cal effing Quantrill had mid-teens in qual starts last year. Okay. And we know, Kyle Wright won 21 freaking games last year. Like, that shouldn't matter. Like, that should be an absolute Yahtzee for you as a fantasy manager to be getting all of those wins. And obviously, shoot, you win 14 games right now. People are freaking out, right? Like, 17, 18 is a massive total right now. So I don't know, Ryan, it's fun to chop it up with you here, but you blew my mind with that. Yeah. And trust me, I am not the get off my lawn guy. I'm not. Yeah. I evolve, I adapt. It's fine. But the elimination of wins now.
Yeah, I'm not the young guy in these leagues, right? I've been playing fantasy for 20 years when it was you could make no changes, period. You had no options. You did what you were given, right? But it's just, as I play more and more, I'm sorry to say, 9 fantasy leagues, that's sort of amateur hour for me, right? We need to get up 18, 20 leagues that a lot of people are doing these days. But no, listen, it's just the way things are headed. It's the way things are headed.
So here to let you know and give you perspective. LA thinks I'm nuts, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, that I play in 9 leagues. And also, here you are judging me for only playing 9. This is a very weird conversation.
I absolutely love the shade that was just thrown. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Ryan. Everybody can give him a thank you as well at Kirksey Sports on
That's
Twitter
awesome.
and find all of his work at Fantasy Alarm. What you did right there was you just kind of flipped things upside down for our friend Rick Kamla. He's going to be okay. But also with
Oh, I
9
can take it. Trust
fantasy
me, I can
leagues,
take it.
okay? 9 fantasy leagues, and this would be a crucial time to be focused on the waiver wire.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, who are you looking at this week since we already did see some injuries from the baseball classic? We already know what we're going to be seeing with maybe some players that are taking a little bit longer to come back, not going to rush them out there. Who are you picking up? Because I know when we're done with this show, where Rick has hours and hours every week with 9 leagues.
Yeah, I mean, so again, this is a real, first of all, strain on my marriage, right? The idea that I have to spend this much time on the waiver wire with 18 or 20 leagues, but it does give you a good sense of who is actually out there. So if you drafted your league early, let's say you drafted 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, you have to understand that probably some of these really hot rookies that have now been named to an opening day roster are probably on your waiver wire if it just opens up for the first time this week, right? So go check and see if the guys like Jordan Walker, Anthony Volpe, Escobar Tovar from the Rockies, right? Some of these guys that we were sort of unsure of a month ago whether they're going to get roster spots, but are now staples in the lineups. These are some of the guys I'm looking at first, but then I'm going down the line. I'm looking, okay, for injury replacements, what's the best alternative? So I talked about the Yankees pitching staff earlier, right? So they've got a guy coming in to replace Rodon named Clark Schmidt. He is my number one pitching target if he's available on my waiver wire right now. A guy who strikes people out. He's going to have a huge offense behind him to support those wins, which we don't care about anymore. But he's somebody that I'm looking at to see, okay, in all of my leagues, is he available? So Schmidt is a guy I'm looking for this week. Check out him. Check out the rookies, and then look for these other situations that have emerged because of injury, right? So you got a couple of guys on the Astros who are prospects that made the team because of injuries to Altuve and Brantley. So you're looking sort of what are these situations that are going to offer you potential to have more than just a few days worth of production, but in some of the guys, in the case of Altuve, it'll give you up to 2 months where you have somebody where you may not have had otherwise.
Good stuff, Ryan. Good stuff, man. I have been picking up Clark Schmidt in a bunch of leagues. He's not really available in a lot of really heady league waiver wires, as you know. But like you said, if you're in, maybe a Yahoo Public League or something like that, he may still be out there. So the guy that I wanted to bring up to you is Graham Ashcroft of the Reds. Huge strikeout potential. We know that the wins aren't going to be there. Here we go back to wins. Maybe like 8 or 9 would be a good year on that crap ass team with a lousy bullpen. But the ratio may be good, but I'm a K fiend, Ryan. Like literally the only non-strikeout guy I F with is Cal Quantrill. Okay. And I will not F with Cal Quantrill in a K per 9 league because he's going to drag my K per 9 down and ruin it. Okay. So that's why he's on waivers in my dynasty league. That's a K per 9, like Cal Quantrill. 15 wins last year, an ERA in the 3s, and the dude's on waivers. So I'm obsessed with strikeouts. And so I got my eye on Graham Ashcroft. I'm picking him up. I've probably got him in 5 of my 9 leagues that you are shaming and judging me for here. But are you feeling Graham Ashcroft?
Yes, you're right about the strikeout potential. I hate the park. I hate the offense behind him, right? So this is Great American Ballpark over the past 3 years has been the best park for offense. I think that's pretty widely known. So you sort of hate that environment and that they have a young, not so potent offensive team behind him, but that potential is there. I think the potential for innings, potential for strikeouts, and they're sort of low risk for him right now. They don't care about necessarily getting to win the division. They're not in the race for the pennant, right? So they're going to put him, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo out there, let him just go and just see what they can do. And I think that you're right that he could give fantasy managers a pretty sneaky source of a lot of strikeouts by the end of the year.
Ryan Kirksey here with us. I must ask you, how many leagues are you in this fantasy baseball madness? And are you also in any hockey leagues? Because Rick's still dealing with that right now too.
I am not in any hockey leagues. It's sort of
come on, man! What's up? What's wrong with you? I'm just
listen. When you grow up in Houston, hockey is something that doesn't exist, right? We have no idea what that sport is. I think I counted last night. I think my last draft is about 15 minutes after we get off here, and I think that's my 19th league. that's going tonight. So some of these are real casual. Some of them are more I'm going to pay a lot more attention to. And then you sprinkle in a few best ball teams in there where you just draft and you let it go, and it becomes pretty manageable. But it's become more than an obsession, and that's bordering on sickness at this point.
Yeah, best ball is really an incredible way to go. All right, just to set it and forget it. And also, it's a great way to mock draft because everybody finishes. They're not leaving the mock room, beforehand. But we're gonna go ahead right now and let Rick just settle down to the fact that there's different scoring things. I have Jeff in the chat who is like, no win league, question mark, what? So this is really rocking the world.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some MVP predictions for this upcoming MLB season. It was so great for me. I have a ton of friends that obviously don't understand what I do because they're not into sports, right? So like if we talk about fantasy, what have you, it's normally they'd be dating a guy that plays fantasy football or fantasy baseball. But I loved how the attention was on Trout and Ohtani during the Classic because it's mind-blowing to people who don't follow baseball. These two are on the same team, how well they both play and how undervalued they are because of their location. So there's a lot of question of where Shohei is going to land, how much he's going to get. But do you see him as the AL MVP this season?
Listen, I think anytime Ohtani gives us a healthy year, he is the MVP just because of what he brings on both sides of the ball. Now, obviously you take defense out of that equation, but how much are voters factoring in defense anyway? So I think that realistically speaking, he's the MVP. I don't think that he will get MVP every year that he is in the league. My horse is attached to Julio Rodriguez this year. I just think sophomore year, he was unbelievable when he came up last year as a rookie. And as much as it pains me to say, these guys like Ohtani and Rodriguez being in the same division as my Astros, I have a feeling we're going to be battling them and their MVP caliber play for a decade. But I'm attaching it to Julio. We see a lot of production from players that move from the rookie to sophomore year. And I just think he's got another level that he's going to reach this year.
Very interesting, Ryan. I like the Julio tout. I do. I like the odds at a plus 700. I'm looking at DraftKings right now. Shohei is a plus 190. That's where my money would go. Frankly, I cannot believe that there is a plus in front of the number as opposed to a minus in front of the number. And let him go out and go 7 strong and strike out 13 and give up no runs and get a win for the Halos and watch these odds. What if he has 3 home runs over opening weekend? I just think right now, I literally still can't believe it's plus 190. I can't, because you're right. You have to do something stupidly historic. Look, if God forbid Ohtani got hurt, okay, different conversation. But if Ohtani is healthy, doing Ohtani things, you have to go Judgian to beat him for AL MVP. Exactly. So I think there's like a 75% chance that Ohtani wins MVP. I really do. So plus 190 to me doesn't make sense. So I think people should bang on it right now.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point, right? Especially if you look at, there is no more likely candidate to drop into negative odds territory than Ohtani this year. But you can look at guys like a Rodriguez or guys who do have much, I think, better odds in terms of the potential for return on that. But yeah, if you want a safe bet, if you want to say who is the most likely person in all of baseball to win an MVP award this year, it's going to be Ohtani. It's going to be Ohtani for years to come.
Well, let's take it then to the NL MVP. Where are you both going? I know your thoughts, Rick, but I cannot wait to hear what Ryan has to say.
Yeah, I put it out on the site, I think last week. I think that the environment has really improved for Trey Turner. I think this is the right year for him. A lot of people are going with Braves, going with Acuna, going with other folks who, I think I would actually pick Soto second. But this looked to me like a year where we could see, I think about a lot in terms of fantasy perspective, a 300 average, 25 homers, 35 steals, 100 runs, 100 RBI, leading the team to 90 plus wins while Bryce Harper is out for half the season. I think that if we see him, particularly the top 2 spots in the order, he's going to start getting a lot of credit, and he's going to really get his odds pushed into territory where it's likely that he wins.
Wow, right there. Look, you made sense. You made a bunch of great points. I don't disagree with any of it. I'm on Acuna this year. Really, it's been 3 years since Acuna has had a massive ballistic season. You got to go back to 2019. He's the only guy in the league with 40-40 potential. Maybe Julio Rodriguez, but I saw Acuna flirt with it. And I don't know. I just feel like he's going to be shot out of a cannon on a rocket ship this year. I think he's going to have a massive season. We've waited 3 years, man. He's such a fabulous player. I just feel like the law of averages is gonna explode him this year. So at plus 850, I couldn't be more in love with this bet. If I could make out with a bet, I would make out with this bet. I'm in Florida. Not only can I not make out with this bet, I can't bet on this bet because I'm in Florida. Okay. But I also wanted to throw this at you, Ryan. I really think that Manny Machado is going to make an assault on MVP. And at a plus 1,500, I would rather play that than Juan Soto at plus 550. And I know you're on Trey Turner here, but juxtapose the two pods here. Who would you rather put money on?
Yeah, so if you look at the odds, certainly I'm on Machado's side, right? I think he was second MVP voting last year. You look at a guy who's going to be the guy hitting behind Juan Soto is going to get 120 RBI because Soto's going to walk 135 times. He's going to be on base at a 400 clip. So this guy, especially if the Padres come anywhere close to what the odds makers are predicting in terms of wins this year, I think Machado's right there in that conversation. We saw him finally, I think, after leaving Baltimore, put everything together with that team last year. So this is a year where, particularly if you said, I think plus 1,500, where I would have no hesitation going a little bit in on Machado.
And we are here right now with Ryan Kirksey, who you can follow at Kirksey Sports. Tomorrow's a big day, opening day in the MLB, a sign that spring is here as well. What games are you looking forward to the most tomorrow, Ryan?
Yeah, I am going to be watching the Braves tomorrow. I am excited to see this lineup and see sort of how it stacks up. There was a little bit of surprise there when they sent Von Grissom down, but they still have an extremely good lineup 1 through 6, especially. I'll, of course, be tuning in at night to see ring night for the Astros and see what their lineup looks like. And also see how, for the White Sox, how Dylan Cease performs. This is a guy who struck everybody out last year, but has had a little bit of problem with walks historically. So I want to see how he handles a good lineup. So I've got some games sprinkled in throughout the day, but I'm really paying attention to the Braves tomorrow. I'm paying attention to see how the Yankees hold up in their pitching and their lineup against the Giants, and then I'll be watching to see how the White Sox and Astros wrap up the night.
I love it, Ryan. I want to kind of go back to the waiver wire here a little bit. I feel like there are some guys out there right now that have some pretty big potential, and I think a lot of people, Ryan, draft their team and then they just kind of forget about it, or it's just not on their radar, and they wait for the CEO. Oh, it's opening day. Let me check my team, set my lineup. To me, there is a very fertile waiver wire going on right now. You mentioned Clark Schmidt. We mentioned Graham Ashcroft. I think Schuster of Atlanta is a good waiver wire pickup right now. David Peterson of the Mets, maybe a little dirty, but he's a big-time strikeout guy. I think it was 126 over 100 innings last year. A couple of guys I like there. And in terms of closers here, I don't know how you say his name. Is it Magoo or Magoo? The young fella out there in Arizona who 2 nights ago was stacked up as their 9th inning guy and came through. Minter, obviously, with the Iglesias injury in Atlanta. So you can take this anywhere you want to go. Did one of those starting pitchers kind of catch your ear, or do you want to go down one of these closer boulevards here? Floro is on a lot of waiver wires right now. He'll be in the mix for saves in Miami. So which of those names are kind of popping for you that people got to go out and get?
Yeah, that's a great point, because I think, first of all, as you said, because of some injuries to some presumed closers that have happened here in spring training, and also because there are about 12 to 14 teams that are just come out and said, we're not naming a closer this year. That's just not the way we're going to do it. We're going to put the best guys in the highest leverage situations. And so of those folks you mentioned, I think Minter's on top because I think is automatic for saves while Iglesias is out, and then has the potential for to stack a few of them throughout the course of the year. I'm a big fan of a guy named Jason Adam in Tampa Bay, who may be presumed to be the guy sort of second behind would be the number one closer. But I think racked up 10 saves last year, so that's a name who gets a lot of strikeouts. Floro is a good bet for me. I'm not sort of sold on how many wins the Marlins get this year. Arizona is just a complete and utter mess. I think that their team has improved, but you've got Ginkel, you've got Magoo, you've got Melanson lurking, you've got all these pitchers in there, and they basically have said we're going to use them all in the different ways that we want. So it's tough for me to name a guy on that squad, but I'd sort of shoot on the waiver wire for some of these guys like Mentor. The Mets came out today and said we're not naming either Peterson or Ottavino a closer. So both of them realistically are viable because they can both get saves. So either one of them are available. But yeah, of that list, Mentor I think is the top for me.
That answer your question for your 9 leagues, Rick Kamla, and for everyone out there in the room listening. Follow at Kirksey Sports. You're working on some stuff. What are you working on right now for the Fantasy Alarm?
Yeah, so I'm going to be the shortstop guru this year for Fantasy Alarm. Every week, you're going to get a sort of a spotlight of a player or two from me, probably coming out on Tuesdays. And then I'll be pitching in, sort of doing some of the fantasy recaps, some of the recommendations of players come out on waivers. But if you're looking for shortstop help, I'm going to be your guy this year.
Oh, Rick, I'm going to have stuff coming out on Tuesday right before we do our DFS challenge for the show every Wednesday. I'm going to use this to my advantage.
Absolutely. It's very deep, very exciting, very sort of electric position. You're going to have fun with that, Ryan. Ryan, I am inspired. Depending on what we get off the air at 10, I may, depending on I don't know how I'm feeling, but I may go ahead and jump out into a Yahoo publicly just to get my number up into double digits.
There you go.
I don't know. I'm a little inspired right now. You guys have maybe baseball league shamed me into doing another one. I'm not sure. But Ryan, I've enjoyed the heck out of this, man. Nice to meet you, bro.
Hey, thank you guys. Anytime. Happy to do it.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we've got some NBA. I don't know if you've been looking, Rick, which I know you have been, but the great games have been crazy. I'm getting great notes in here. Thank you, Mike Torres, for keeping me in the loop while we had that great spot. Again, you can follow Ryan Kirksey at Kirksey Sports. So first quarter for the Bucks was a magical scoring event. Have you seen what's been going on here? Giannis is a little bit more than feeling the heat right now. Maybe was listening before the game and heard you say the Celtics were better. Not sure, but look what he's done so far this evening.
Yeah, so Milwaukee's at Indiana tonight, up 59-52 late first half, 3:52 to go, and he has 29 and 8. He almost has a triple-double at halftime. Oh, my God, and we still have 3:50 to go in the first half here, LA. He is 2 assists and 1 rebound away from a triple-double in the first half. Holy cow.
It's pretty amazing. So your props we're going to touch back with as well. Also, the Knicks have started out super hot. They started on an 8-0 run. The Heat are now on a 14-0 run.
Yeah, I've got the 8 quad up here on NBA League Pass, their little mix channel. Kind of keeping my eye on all of it, which means I'm not watching Dallas and Philly. I may have to bounce back and forth here. But my boy Jimmy Butler, we're early on. First half of the first quarter here. 2 points and no assists. Let's go, JB. Let's get it cranked up here a little bit, man. Let's go. Let's go.
We are early on, everybody. We'll be checking in on these props. We're going to get to more NBA talk. We'll talk a little bit more MLB. And I've got some Lamar Jackson questions for you, Rick Kamla. I'm sure you're just as confused as I am. But thanks to Twitter, Instagram, and players being able to send us really interesting and confusing quotes and posts all at the same time, I feel like I have less information as time goes on. We'll get to that and more. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
The word genius is there. Bob Glover, it describes him. Bob, so when's the last time that Twitter defeated you? Because I've been defeated by Twitter today.
I'll tell you how Twitter defeated me one time. I had the mistaken impression that the year that Troy Polamalu won the Defensive Player of the Year, it looked like it was going to go to Clay Matthews Jr., and I tweeted it. And there was a guy on the media bus. He was like, oh, yeah, he's got it, a guy I trust. I won't tell you who it was, but his initials are Mike Garafolo. So I went with it. Got a DM from Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He goes, "You sure about that?" I go, "Oh man. Oh, I just got this wave because like accuracy to me is really important. So I'm literally on the media bus. We're just getting back from media day. We are slipping and sliding in Dallas. It's snowing. I get off the bus. I open my laptop. I am hunched over, and I just like literally people are passing me. Bob, what's wrong? And it was Palomalu, and Adam Schefter had retweeted me. Trey Wingo had retweeted me. I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
So when it's Palomalu, then how do you handle that? Like, what was the subsequent tweet
I think
afterwards?
I said, got some bad Twitter info. I didn't put Garofalo's name on there. I had
10 years later, you can out him. I like that. Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't mind that. He knows the stories. So.
Yeah.
He actually said to me, "Hey, Bob, I think you might have jumped the gun on that." I was like, "Oh, crap." There we go.
Campus to Canton on the Bettor Sports Network.
Would Dion bench Shedeur?
I don't think he would.
Like, how bad would it have to be? Because we've seen horrendous quarterback play from this Colorado team for the last, 4 years, 5 years? JT Shroud, Brandon Lewis, just terrible quarterback play. Like, they were 131st, which is dead last in pass EPA per play. Obviously, it will be better, but how bad does it have to be for him to bench his own son? Like, I'm not sure he will ever either, like, especially with the attitude that he came in with.
If they don't get Rashada, who do they bench him for this year anyway? I don't know that there's another answer on that roster that you go to. They don't really have a guy behind him, so I don't even know if we would know the answer to that until the next year, assuming that, he doesn't declare for the draft, he returns, they bring somebody else that's competent and behind him.
If they're going to do this the Lincoln Riley way, next year would be the class to bring somebody in. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a third-year player, so he's going to play 2023. I don't think he's declaring for the 2024 NFL draft, so he's going to play in 2024 and then declare for the 2025 NFL draft. And let's remember this, he hasn't had a full recruiting cycle at Colorado. He will have that next recruiting cycle, so maybe he could get one of these class of 2024 quarterbacks there to come to Colorado.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
We are back with you right here, Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. NBA is popping off tonight, so it's a good time for us to talk about some injuries. Did you predict that this was going to be it for Ben Simmons for the rest of the season, Rick?
I did. That was the worst kept secret in the NBA, that he's got the nerve impingement in his back and this and that and the other thing. And, oh, but we're not shutting him down for the, yeah, you are. Yeah, you just shh. We all see what's going on here. So, yes, that's exactly how I saw this going. I wish him well. LA, he is, I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know where we're going with this. He's under contract 2 more years at max money. He will get that money. And then he will not be a max player anymore. And frankly, will he be in the NBA anymore? Okay. Because we've had a trade request, and I'm not mad at Ben Simmons. I'm just letting you know how these front offices think, right? Like, he has proven to be a headache in Philly and in Brooklyn, and God bless him with the mental health issue that he went through and took time away from the team. I give him grace and space for that.
Sure.
Just, again, it's baggage accumulating. He can't shoot. He's got a fear of failure. And he can't even shoot mid-range shots or free throws. And here's the thing, LA. Here's the really unfortunate thing for Ben Simmons, and it really makes me be real sympathetic and empathetic to him, is he got his back cut, okay? And a lot of times when that happens, you don't get back to the same springy, bouncy athlete that you were. So there would be a spot in the NBA for Ben Simmons for a long time to come if he could bring defensive player of the year level defense. But if he can't bring that and he can't shoot, I'm just not sure there's a home for him in the NBA.
We definitely haven't seen that defensive player come back in him since that surgery. And I was looking at it, hey, where are the Nets going? Is it worth it to put him back out there? But when you actually look at timing, you look at the years, we're now starting to make missed months. We're now starting to miss seasons. If you really sit down now and do the math in 5 years and look at games played, that really hurts a player at that age. In the best, this is your best time. This is your best basketball time, right? This is when, and understandably, yes, coming back from surgery, haven't been the same, but now you're just sitting longer. I really worry about players sitting still, even though they're training, they're doing the physical therapy, they're doing this. We forget, and a lot of people will say, and I always go back to the Lev Bell experiment. because you've been playing this sport, whatever your sport may be, since you were 10. You know what I mean? Like competitively playing, everyday playing. And when you start to be still, everything really changes. It's like when you go from traveling all the time to not traveling, you forget to pack things. When you travel all the time, you don't forget to pack things. It is a rhythm. It is a consistency. It's something that comes with staying in movement in that gear. It just doesn't seem like he's in that gear.
It's probably the best point either of us will make all night. LA, you have hit on the issue with load management in the NBA. They think the science that getting players off their feet will help with longevity and help with all this stuff. It doesn't. I believe getting players off their feet leads to injuries, okay? Ben Simmons, all of this inactivity comes back. Oh, wow, he's got a back that now needs to be cut. If he was playing, would this back injury have even popped up? Okay.
Sure.
I don't know. Todd Gurley comes to mind here, LA. Remember the old Rams back. Okay. Let me take you back to Georgia with Todd Gurley. It is one of the stupidest and most ruthless suspensions I've ever seen the NCAA level. He signed autographs and took money for it. Okay. Exactly what all the NIL kids are getting right now without a problem. They suspended him for 4 games. Okay. Mark Richt's dumbass didn't fight it. And I believe he could have and have him reduce it maybe 1 game, maybe a half. Johnny Manziel got a half game suspension for the same exact thing. All right. So Gurley misses 4 games, comes back, and at the end of that first game back, pops his ACL. And you remember all the knee injuries that haunted Todd Gurley throughout his NFL career and ultimately forced him to retire. All can be traced back to the inactivity in the month off. Boom, first game back, shreds his ACL. Okay. The more these guys play, the better shape they're in, the more durable they become. So you hit on literally the crux of load management. And LA, let me bring you the ball player side here. Antonio Daniels agrees with me and you. Okay. A body in motion stays in motion. An inactive body, when it gets revved back up, is very, very prone to injury, more prone to injury than the players playing every damn night. Stan Van Gundy agrees with us. And I know a lot of other coaches and ball players agree with us as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's just, but now, hey, now the Nets are like, oh, who's going to these games? Like, what's there? Nothing's there. There's some interesting little shuffle and conversation out there about Luka and Kyrie. Is this not a match made in heaven? Was this a Bumble experiment gone bad? Did we swipe right? And now we've got to know, do we still keep the hearts there or are we blocking each other? How is this going to end? You have your finger on the pulse of the NBA. You get to talk to your wonderful co-host, Antonio Daniels, every day. What's his vibe and what's your vibe on this? Are we making too much of this or is there really a problem between Luka and Kyrie?
I don't think there's a problem between Luka and Kyrie. I don't know that. Okay. That's what I think. That's what I hope. What I don't want to do is get into some blame game thing. There is, and I know you don't want to go down that road either. There is so much blame to go around. LA, you've got your finger on the pulse of this league as well. They can't stay on the court together. Okay. Kyrie has the plantar fasciitis. Luka has had the thigh. They're botching late game scenarios. Those two guys again and again and again. They don't play any defense, especially in the paint. You can straight line drive, dunk down their throats all game long. Okay. Their center rotation is the stupidest in the NBA. They are starting Dwight Powell, who literally would not start for any of the other teams. They are bringing Christian Wood off the bench. He would literally be starting for half of the teams in the league. And they're not playing JaVale McGee, who's a champion who can block shots. Okay. Tell me this makes any sense in any alternative universe. It doesn't. Okay. Tim Hardaway Jr.'s 25 points one night and 5 points the next. The roster is poorly constructed around them. But LA, they give up 2 firsts and 2 seconds and Dinwiddie and DFS to get Kyrie Irving. They have to bring him back. Otherwise, you look like an ass for giving all that up. And then you got Kyrie for an unfortunate and basketball tragic 2 months. So they got to sign back up for him. But the question is, Dallas is not going to want to go as many years as Kyrie wants them to go. Okay. And therein lies the rub.
I agree with you. Let's continue this NBA conversation and go through the scoreboard because we've got a guest coming up at 8:30. We're going to talk to Steve Alexander, who you can follow at Dr. A. But let's talk a little NFL. Let's mix it up a little bit. because there was just something funny that got posted. Lamar Jackson is frustrated by injury questions and claps back on Twitter, "Let's get real." And this was at this morning. So we know Lamar put some posts out over the weekend. We know he really wants out. We know he really wants the guaranteed money. 2 questions here. If Lamar doesn't get what he wants, will he sit out this season? Second question, would this all be happening right now for this long and on such a ridiculous level if he had an agent?
Maybe on that part. And I definitely agree with sort of the line of questioning that he needs an agent. But we still may be here, even if he had an agent. Because it seems to me like, look, and you know this, LA, the agent works for you. Okay. The agent is not going rogue with ideas that he is forcing down Lamar's throat. If Lamar wants guaranteed money, all of it, okay, or else, then his agent is going to drive that bottom line. He wants it all guaranteed. Does he have any wiggle room or negotiating? No, he does not. Okay, so that's where it is. He wants it all guaranteed.
I think the standard that was set with Deshaun Watson is one of the most bizarre financial experiments in the NFL. Because it seems
right
as if
about
some of
that.
the coaches, owners, team, owners are really looking at this like, we cannot allow this to set a precedence. But you all allowed that to be a precedence in a situation that should have been maybe the least likely candidate, all of the things, the things that we waited for him to be able to get back out there and play. And I think players are in their feelings one way, like Lamar. Hey, I've never, been on the wrong side of anything. I'm great in the community here. I want to play here. He's the brand of the team, and looking at something like that. And then these big wigs with a ton of money are like, oh, you know what? We shouldn't have done that. So we're not going to let any other quarterback have that kind of money, whether they deserve it or not, because we want to nip it in the bud.
You hit it on the head, and you said big wigs with a lot of money or a ton of money. Okay. The NFL model is completely broken, especially in 2023. If you care about social and racial equality and justice, okay, if you care about that stuff, then you can't look at the NFL model and say it's not broken. It's broken. Okay. What it is, LA, it's about control. It's about the control that the owners have over the players. Okay.
Of course.
And they do not want to give that up. And here's the thing, LA, they will not, over their dead bodies, give that up. The current CBA is good through 2030. Just chew on that for a minute. We're in the beginning of 2023. These poor players have 8 more years with the worst union agreement in professional sports on planet Earth. It makes me feel bad for them. It really does. So the owners know the CBA ain't up for another 8 years. Okay.
Right.
We're going to do what we got to do. And we ain't paying you guaranteed money because we don't want this guy and then this guy and then this guy and then this guy wanting guaranteed money because, damn it, this is not the NBA. Okay. Now, these are not my thoughts and ideals and sensibilities. I am literally relaying to you and our audience how NFL owners view this.
Sure.
And I am obviously 1000% correct with this. So it is, we talk about fight the power, sticking it to the man, all this kind of stuff. That's never been more true than the NFL. And so I don't get mad at a player, even if he misplays his hand, like Le'Veon Bell or Melvin Gordon or these guys that had these holdouts and it didn't go well. They know that they got to get theirs while the window is open. And some misplay their hand and some play their hand well. But it's because these owners refuse to play ball on the players' terms. It's got to be on the owner's terms. And yes, it bothers me. But no, it is not going to be fixed anytime soon. And our guy Lamar Jackson is stuck in the middle of that mess.
It's timing. I'm reading a book on it right now about how many things in life really land on the timing of the situation. And sports is brought into it in a big way on age, month you're born, all of these things that can allow you to be a player for a team earlier. Like it's unbelievable. And this is timing. But you also have the conversation that, remember, the NFL is very interested in branching us out into Europe and deciding how that's going to look. Are we having players there live here for 3 weeks and do games here? Are players going to want to be gone from their families for 3 weeks? This is going to be a paperwork and tax nightmare. All of these different things. Now's the time where you're going to potentially start asking for more. I am sure you read how many players were completely dissatisfied with the idea of the Thursday night games, some teams playing more Thursdays than others.
Yeah, because the star players on the big brand teams know that their names are going to be called, as opposed to Tennessee and Jacksonville, or maybe the Lions and the Bears, right? Like some matchups, you're kind of like, the matchups that our boy Johnny VTV complains about, right? Like, oh, this game sucks tonight. I don't have anything on it. If I had to, I'd play this way or this way. Our boy Johnny VTV hates Thursday night football. I love it because it's a cyclical thing, right? It's the beginning of the new NFL week, right? And even if it's a humdrum game, like the Cardinals-Saints game. Remember how that game sucked? Cardinals and Saints, Dalton's throwing 2 pick sixes near the end of the first half, but we watched. But I hear it. It's they're going to be going to the Chiefs and the Bills and whatever team Aaron Rodgers is on and all this kind. They're going to be going to the big boys for Thursday night. I don't disagree from the network perspective because they want the best product out there on the turf. They don't want just some filler game where we have to put this team on national television, so let's bury them on Thursday night. They want to make a bigger deal out of Thursday night and get higher profile games. And guess what? The fans actually win in that transaction.
Yeah, the fans win, no doubt, but it's not going to be a win for us as fantasy team managers because we're going to see more injuries. We're going to see maybe a transition. Is this the time where players, the NFL, start to say like, look, I'm playing, 2 Thursday nights this month, and then we've got our other I need rest. Or I can't.
Here we go. Not load management in the NFL. Oh my God, I'm gonna.
How could they not want to? It was Mahomes that actually spoke out about this yesterday because yes, we have wanted to watch some Thursday night games that were like watching paint dry. He also doesn't want to play 3 Thursday night games this season.
I hear him. I do. I hear him. Now obviously it's football. They're not going to. My pinky is swollen and sore. I can't play tonight. Stop it, right? There's a couple guys in the NFL that don't rock through that, but most of them do. But it is what it is. I understand Mahomes pushing back on 3 Thursday nighters. It's a buzzkill. It changes your whole routine. It throws your whole thing off. I get where Mahomes is coming from.
Completely get it. Another tidbit of information. Here's a player that I really like to have on my team that used to be able to get on the cheap. That would be wide receiver Marvin Jones Jr., who sources say may be reuniting with the Lions.
It's funny you brought this up. I checked Roto World right before I came on the air here, and I saw, hey, Marvin Jones back to Detroit. Kind of piqued my interest a little bit. I went to my depth chart LA and plugged in Marvin Jones on the Lions, and guess what? I booted Josh Reynolds out of the 3 hole and down to the 4, 5, 6 spot. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have Jameson Williams, obviously, my boy. That's the homie from Alabama. And now you have Marvin Jones Jr., who is used to scoring touchdowns for the Lions, albeit from Stafford. But now you got Goff in there. I actually think, I actually think that Marvin Jones has the possibility to be more fantasy relevant than even Jameson Williams, okay? I know this is a low-dough, end of free agency type of thing. It would not surprise me if Marvin Jones became the number 2 wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. It would not surprise me at all. So he is going to be what, LA, round 11, round 12, round 13, very, very late. Might not be the worst dice roll of all time.
So is this going to be like my late round play 3 seasons ago? I think it was the season before COVID. So that's already 4 seasons ago. Devontae Parker.
Exactly.
Remember the breakout season Devontae Parker had? Oh, it was so amazing.
Look, I could see 60 grabs, 750 yards, and 6 or 7 touchdowns from Marvin Jones. I could see, and look, that's probably the floor. Like if you told me 70 grabs, 850 yards, 7 touchdowns. Okay. Like I think he could actually do that. He's not going to challenge the big boys up top, but again, he could be an infrastructure guy, a good wide receiver 4 or 5 for your team. You can flex him, wide receiver 3 hole, all that kind of stuff. Now we'll see how it plays out. I think he could be very targeted by Jared Goff this year. I do.
It was 2019. It was 9 touchdowns for one Devontae Parker, 1,202 yards.
Ooh.
He hasn't scratched 800 yards in the other so many seasons that he played. But I remember that season.
You were feeling it on Devontae.
I got him late. You know what I mean? I got him late. And I was like, you know what I mean? It's a flyer. Let's see what happens with it. But I think Marvin Jones, a comfort spot. It's kind of like going back home there. He's used to everything about, his workout facility, the field, the favorite sandwich shop is already discovered. He doesn't have to do a lot of work for that. So I think it could be a really good fit.
Yeah, like what you're saying. It'll be interesting. Like, is Jamison Williams going to be for this offense? The T.Y. Hilton guy, the Deshaun Jackson guy, the long ball guy, a best ball guy. I know you love best ball leagues, like that best ball guy that hits you with that 80-yard touchdown about once a month. Okay. Where in best ball, okay, cool, giddy up. He had 3 for 125 and a touchdown this week. He's boom, right in my lineup via the best ball bit. Marvin Jones is more of a meat and potato possession guy and is great at making catches with guys around him, pulling the ball away from them, high pointing the ball in the back of the end zone, making acrobatic catches. He's always had that in his bag, the toe drag swag, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if Jamison Williams is going to become a blood and guts guy for them, or if he's going to be sort of the hood ornament for them, right? And if he's the hood ornament, then Marvin Jones Jr. is going to be probably the wide receiver too, and probably pretty damn fantasy relevant.
I agree with you. Now, I guess we're going to have to go back to your what's more likely here. We have a what's more likely. I'm staying in the NFL world because, again, at the bottom of the hour, we're going to have a nice NBA conversation. We're going to go to all of these crazy games, all of the scoring that's happening. Is any of that scoring happening where Rick Kamla has some props? But Aaron Rodgers. Story today is the Jets owner is anxious to finalize the trade. Will Aaron Rodgers, is your question, what's more likely? Is he traded before or after the draft? This is just heinous.
Look, it's taken a minute, but nobody's in a hurry. Nobody has it's just not.
I'm sorry. Have you met people from New York before? We're in a hurry.
Oh, I get it. I totally get it. And a lot of us want to know what's going on with this. But it came out that the details of the trade that they've been talking about a little bit, and it was interesting to me because it did not involve a first round pick, and so I think that we are going to get a trade, LA, in advance of the draft, or maybe like it's on draft night. But I don't think this is going to be a deal where it goes past the draft, and like we make it through all 7 rounds of the draft, and Aaron Rodgers is still on the Green Bay Packers. Here's the tweet here from Charles Robinson, I believe of Yahoo. As it currently stands, the Jets will send a 2023 second rounder and a 2024 second rounder that may turn into a first based on performance. Okay. The holdup is the Jets want to pick back from Green Bay in case AR doesn't play in 2024. Well, Jets, you're not going to get that. Okay. Now you're asking too much. You are about to get Aaron Rodgers without giving up a first round pick. Okay. At least like conditionally, you don't have to. You might. That is the deal. Like Green Bay is actually hooking them up because Green Bay, the Jets have pushed back on giving them I forget, it's 12 or 13 in this draft, right? That's too valuable. Where I can't give you that for Aaron Rodgers, but I can give you a second, and I can give you next year's second that could become a first if Aaron Rodgers is with my team for 2 years as opposed to 1. Look, this makes sense, LA. This does, right? The Jets aren't giving up too much. They're not giving up a first. The Packers are getting 2 seconds, which are very valuable picks. 1 may turn into a first. Okay, let's get this deal done. So if the holdup is the Jets want to pick back from Green Bay in case AR doesn't play in 2024, they got to get over that. Green Bay is more than meeting you in the middle here, not insisting that you give up a first round pick. This tells me that they're pretty close, LA, and at any moment here, we could get the Schefter bomb or Rappaport bomb that the trade's going down.
I mean, that's what we're all waiting for. It's just one more thing. The conversation has definitely simmered. Everybody feels very settled. That's what's taking place. We still have, Odell Beckham out there getting some meetings. We still have players, but the draft is going to be here before you know it. Once we get into watching these baseball games, opening day tomorrow, and we really start amping up for the NBA playoffs and what teams we're just forgetting about, what other players are just calling it for a season. The draft will be here. And then we're going to really start to want to know because we always do like 1 or 2 really early post NFL draft fantasy drafts. Like these are things we want to know because would we have a lot more hope for our receivers if we weren't just relying on Zach Wilson in New York for the Jets? And yes, we just want an exclamation point on the deal that it's done.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the values of everybody involved are hanging in the balance here. The bottom line is, if we make it through the draft and Matt Deutsch, the great Matt Deutsch hits us with an email of the insanely way too early. We shouldn't be doing this, but we're going to do it anyway. Fantasy football draft with all the great hosts here on Bettor Sports Network, which I clearly would answer yes to. So if you're in that scenario, he's going to be a Jet. It's going to happen. There's no other option. There literally is not. You've got the big corporation from China, the big corporation from America, and they've got to figure it out. And they're in the boardroom together. And nobody's coming in from Germany or Australia or Switzerland, okay? It's the U.S. and China, and these companies, you got to figure it out, okay? Nobody is coming to bail them out. There won't be a third team NBA style coming in here. And so the Jets, to me, they're asking too much. You're getting Aaron Rodgers without giving up a first, at least here at face value. Go ahead and swing this deal. I think this makes sense on both sides.
I also think the Jets, everyone in the organization should obviously be fans of Curb. And if, again, we go back to that episode that we both love with the Jets, and then we go back to the fact that Larry did start a Spite coffee store. And if you really narrow that down again, we have the Spite season for Aaron Rodgers in New York for the Jets. So, like, let's us all start getting spiteful and planning for this and being done with it. You got to spend. You got to do it. He's worth it. It's going to change the franchise. They were so close. Last year was the first year Jets fans had a lot of confidence in their team, loved their defense, enjoyed watching their games. It was great. So you can see if you turn that up a notch, the little pieces and moves they've already made are incredible. But if we just solidify this deal, then we're going to have a much better vibe.
They would. I mean, look, they'd be championship contenders with Aaron Rodgers. And you think about, you mentioned some of the other guys involved, Garrett Wilson. Hello. Zach, we talked about it last year. Flacco had more of a vibe with Garrett Wilson than Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson acted like he didn't even like his namesake, okay? Never threw him the ball. Started to a little bit in the last couple of games. Lazard, Rodgers homeboy, obviously without Rodgers, what value is there? He's probably a waiver wire guy. With Rodgers, he could get you 8 to 10 touchdowns. And then Mecole Hardman. Hardman's going to be catching long balls from Aaron Rodgers and turning little 10-yard slant routes into 75-yard home runs. So look, the house is built. The house is built, Aaron. Come on in here and get the Jets right.
Yeah, it's just been between that and Lamar Jackson. You got two quarterbacks. I think we have more resolve on Aaron Rodgers for sure than we do Lamar. But it's going to be the draft is going to be a very interesting night because that's when everybody's going to be like, this has to be done. We're talking golf because we know the Masters is around the corner, and golf talk is fun with the Tour Junkies. Now playing with BSN on demand. Here, David Barnett and Pat Perry recap the WGC match play preview, the Valero, Texas, and get excited for the Masters. Get winning golf advice and daily picks for daily fantasy sports and betting on the Tour Junkies. Now playing on demand with the Bettor Sports Network app. Next week, while you are away, where you are doing the morning show for Mad Dog, Steffi Smalls and I are going to be up in here talking some golf. I'm really looking forward to it. I know we're both pretty pumped for the Masters, and we will not have to bore you with the details, Rick Kamla.
Well, I'm look, I the Masters and US Open and like the majors I get into, not like you and Steffi. I'm so glad you brought this up, and I'll make this quick. I am so when Matt Deutsch told me that Steffi was sitting in for me next week, I was like, aw, because I know your sister's with her and you both love golf. And so I was super happy about that. Matt always takes care of us. And I knew he would take care of you. I hate to miss next week's show, but when I heard you were working with Steffi, I got real happy.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. We've got a really robust chat going on over here. Everyone is talking about Giannis needs one more dime for a triple-double. We've got a great sports night with the NBA tonight and opening of Eve for tomorrow from Bettor Boss. And we've got Steve Alexander joining us coming up. We're going to talk a lot more NBA. We'll continue to look at Ricky's props and chat with you in the chat. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Calvin Ridley yesterday, he applied for reinstatement from the National Football League.
Ridley, Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence. That is crazy potent on offense.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, Ridley's great.
I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy I want in fantasy this year.
I think you're probably right. I think they're just going to get better and better. First off, Peterson's a wonderful offensive mind, a great head coach, and we've seen that and saw that this year as Jacksonville made it to the postseason. And Trevor Lawrence, anybody that questioned whether or not he could play in the National Football League or just how good he was going to be in the NFL, those questions were answered this past season as in the second half of the year. Statistically speaking, he was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's how good Trevor Lawrence is. You throw Calvin Ridley into the mix, he's going to be great. Yeah, I think Lawrence is a guy you want. I think Ridley's a guy you want. Clearly, Travis Etienne is going to be one of those early, first-round selections as well, being the dual-threat running back that he is, not only running, but also catching the ball out of the backfield, Keith, and the ability to take something small and take it to the house. Take a 5-yard dump pass, make a guy miss in the open field, and he's gone. I mean, you saw that with Travis Etienne this past season for Jacksonville. Yeah, sky's the limit. I mean, I think you're going to go from a team in the year span where you wanted no part of the Jacksonville Jaguars when you're looking at fantasy football to where you want as many Jaguars as you possibly can because they're going to be really, really productive. And let's see if they get their tight end back as well. Who had
Evan Ingram was great.
And Evan Ingram, who was great this past season.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep that whole core together, their offense is going to be one of the best in football. Like, I legitimately think that they could be one of the best offenses in football.
Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, then you throw
Ridley,
Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, a good offensive line, and you've got Doug Peterson being creative calling.
Right?
And you look at that division. The Colts are a mess.
Yep.
Titans
look like they're on the downslide.
Titans are on the downslide, right? That window is clearly closed. And then you got the Houston Texans.
Years away from relevancy.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville could win 11 games next year.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
We are back right here. Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla. I am getting so many incredible updates of this night in the NBA, which could not make it more perfect for tonight's guest, Steve Alexander, who you can follow at Dr. A. We're going to talk some NBA. Steve, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
First, we're gonna talk about this big night. So we do this thing. We open every show with Rick Kamla's prop bets. We sweat them. You pick a prop, you look at it the first 2 quarters, nothing's happening. You see big games from other players that you didn't pick a prop on. So to recap with you, I think we're doing pretty well right now, but nobody is doing better. Well, Drew Holiday, big night as well, but Giannis tonight. Oh my gosh, Steve.
Well, I just got home from birthday dinner with Casey Alexander, my wife. Rick knows her very well.
Shout out to Casey, Dr. A.
Happy birthday, Casey.
Happy birthday, Casey. But Giannis just scored again. So he's up to 26, 13, and 10. There's 7 minutes left in the third quarter of that game. I tell you what, the Pacers have packed it in, and they're just bad. They're not good. Good job, Giannis. Did you have him in a prop bet, Rick?
I did not. And here's why. I figured Milwaukee would go into Indiana, who is as crappy as you say they are. You have no Tyrese Halliburton tonight. You have no Miles Turner tonight. Why? Because they're tanking. That's why. And they actually do have a chance to get into the 5-hole. Utah started their tank too late. I mean, I'm not into these shutdowns, Steve. I think it sucks. I think it's bad for the league, blah, blah, blah. But they're going to do what they got to do. But I thought Milwaukee would be cranking Indiana right now. So we've talked about this. How many times have we gone over on a prop this year? It ends up in a blowout and we don't hit the over. I just hit an under on Julius Randle a couple of nights ago. It was a miracle. It was the home game on Monday against Houston. 26.5 was his number. I went under on it. He had 26 points through 3 quarters, but did not go back into the game because the Knicks just ran away from the Rockets, and so he didn't go back into the game. That's why I wasn't on Giannis tonight. Obviously, if I would have known that mid-third it would be a 6-point game, I would have played Giannis's over here, but I thought it was going to be a blowout.
It is crazy how many prop bets you and I combined have probably lost this year based on blowout factor and guys sitting out in the fourth quarter. I mean,
There you go.
it's incredible how much it happens. And the other interesting thing about this Bucks-Pacers game is the Pacers went to Milwaukee like 2 weeks ago with no Tyrese Halliburton against Giannis and the whole squad, and they beat them. And so, when I was writing this game up today, I was like, Giannis is not going to forget that just happened to him on his home court. They're going to go into Indy and absolutely dominate them tonight. And they're not. I mean, the Pacers are down 4. So that's good news. That means Giannis is going to have, 40, 20, and 20?
Something like that. He's doing Giannis things tonight. So speaking of Giannis, I believe, I mean, it's a hard sell tonight, right? 27, 13, and 11 and counting. But I believe that Giannis's MVP candidacy is overrated. I'm not saying he doesn't belong in the race. I'm not saying he doesn't belong in the debate. But there are some people who are like, oh, yeah, Giannis is my MVP. Why? How? I just don't get it. And it's about missed games. He has missed the most games out of any of the big three for MVP. Every time Milwaukee plays a bad team or a team down in the standings, he rests. Okay. And so I'm not feeling it. Like, why am I going to reward a guy that is, I don't think he's even on pace to play 65 games this year. Okay. And I want to make this clear for people who think I'm hating. I'm not. I think Giannis is the best player on earth. Better than Durant, better than Curry, better than LeBron. Like, if I had one dude to make a championship run with, it would be Giannis. Okay. But not for MVP. When you're taking all these nights off and you're not even hurt, I can't give it to you, man.
Well, I think historically, the best team with the best player, that player gets the MVP. And the Bucks have more wins than any other team in the league. So I get why people think Giannis should be the MVP, and I don't necessarily hate it. Now, I'm with you. He has missed some games. I think he's got, I'm not going to call it chronic, but there's something always wrong with his knee. And it creeps up every season.
All right. No. Come on. Are you serious? These are load management games. Really? You think there's something chronically wrong with Giannis?
I think he's got a bad knee.
Like, me and Steve go way back, man. All right. Like, let's push each other around a little bit here. I'm not with that, man. I'm not with that.
I said I'm not going to call it chronic, but he always has knee issues. He always does every year.
I think it's what they got to put in the injury report. I think you got to put some body part in the damn injury report, so they pick knee. I think that's what's going on.
How many games has he missed?
It's like 12 or 13 or something like that. He is 2 or 3 games played below Embiid and like 10 games played below Jokic. I could be off by 1 on that, but it's about what it is.
But let me like step in here right now and then just ask our guest tonight, Steve, who do you got going for the MVP this season in the NBA?
I mean, to me, it's between Giannis and Jokic. And right now, I think I would go with Jokic just because he's a monster. He plays every night. The triple doubles are off the charts. The Denver was the best team in the league until recently. The Bucks overtook them, I think. And Jokic can make a free throw. That's my biggest problem with Giannis. He can't make a free throw. Might as well have Ben Simmons out there shooting.
Wow.
Shots fired.
Wow. Holy cow.
The free throw is a very frustrating thing. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no excuse for it. There's no challenge to it. You've seen players before where they're just like, I'm just going to shoot 1,000 a day until I wing this and get it together. That is a problem.
Especially, if you're talking about fantasy and DFS, free throws are an issue. And, I'm not going to let Giannis's free throw percentage keep me from drafting him in a fantasy league. It's probably not going to stop me unless if I do draft him, I'm just going to tank free throws and build a team around the free throw tank. But, I think it's a really close race between Giannis and Jokic.
And you don't have Embiid in there at all. No Embiid at all for you. Yeah, no Embiid. I would just say we're just he's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. No Embiid.
He's not even the bridesmaid here. He's what's the third wheel here, LA? What was that called? What's that lady called?
He's like the party planner, I guess. He's the party planner.
The damn wedding singer. Yeah, Joel Embiid's the friggin' wedding singer. Are you kidding me?
Joel Embiid gets some sort of MVP award just for the fact he hasn't missed many games. I mean, it looked for a while there like he was going to miss 25 games every single year and never be healthy and dominant like he has been this year. The problem is the Sixers are they're 2.5 games behind the Celtics. They're 5 games behind the Bucks. That is not how you win an MVP.
Steve, this is so much fun, man. This is so much fun. Hanging out with my boy, Dr. A, here on Bettor Sports Live. Okay, where do I want to go with this?
Hey, Rick, can I interrupt real quick?
Of course.
What are the 2 days of the year that you don't want to have anything going on at like noon, sports-wise?
Good question. I would say
I'm going to raise my hand and jump in and say one right now. It's got to be MLB opening day.
Yes, that's one. And what about Thursday of the NCAA tournament, right?
If that used to be mine, it's crossed through my brain. I am like when we talk about the first full college football Saturday, because you said noon. Okay, you said noon. So that's when the games all start. Like that first college football Saturday, you can't tell me nothing. And I'm on Mad Dog at 3, so I'm in the lab watching. But that I would say that an opening day.
MLB opening day is one of those days. And
yes, it is.
Somebody told me the Braves were playing tomorrow at 1:00, and I was like, wait a second. The season's already here? Like I've been paying attention.
It's here.
And I'm playing golf at noon tomorrow. So I'm not going to get to see any of my Braves on opening day, and I'm really not.
DVR the game. Just DVR the game. You heard of this thing called DVR, right? Just DVR the game. And they got the replay on what is it, Valley in Atlanta? They do the damn replay like after the post game show. They replay the
watch
game
it live, dude. I got to be there live. All right, go ahead let's get back to basketball. I'm just a little upset that I just realized at birthday dinner that I'm going to miss the Braves game tomorrow.
How many fantasy baseball leagues are you in? Are you in any?
I'm in one.
You're in one. So yeah, I just got shamed for being in only 9.
By me. Okay.
By the great
Steve,
Ryan Kirksey of Fantasy Alarm. He's like, 9, you're a lightweight. I'm like, a lightweight? People think I'm literally certifiably crazy and need to go to a loony bin because I'm in 9 fantasy baseball leagues.
Dude, we've been doing this we've been doing this for too long. Like at some point, it catches up with you. You lose some of the passion. You got to whittle down to the leagues you really care about. And I don't need to be in 9 fantasy baseball leagues and try to set those lineups for 2 hours every day. No,
here's the thing. Like I've got it down to a deal where it's not like some automated algorithm or anything like that, but it's like, a lot of my teams are very similar. I don't draft like, okay, this draft, I'm just going to F around and take a bunch of starting pitchers. No, I literally follow the same format over and over and over and over. And that may bore a lot of people, but it doesn't bore me. I, for one, like accumulating championships, and I plan on doing that again this year. But I am losing Steve, let's have a serious conversation here in LA. I am losing my thirst for fantasy basketball. I am losing it. I am also losing my thirst for fantasy hockey because the way they announce the starting goaltenders is so annoying. A Saturday and Sunday, I've got 5 alarms set. One at 1:45, one at 3:45, one at 6:45, one at 8:45, and one at 9:45 because I got to vet all these damn goaltenders. Okay, so like I don't think I'm going to play fantasy hockey next year because of it. Okay, and Steve, I played in 2 Yahoo public leagues for basketball this year. Usually I'm in 6 or 7. Okay, I did 2 this year, and I only did 2 just because I didn't have any, and I'm like, I got to do 2, right? And I don't think I'm going to miss those leagues. And Steve, you know why? Okay, it's the maddening load management. It's the shutdowns. It has turned fantasy basketball, which obviously is near and dear to my heart. Kind of, sort of created the damn thing, but I'm losing steam on it, man, because it's become so monotonous and so arduous and so disappointing. I could go on and on for days, man. But load management and the NBA's compliance with it is ruining fantasy basketball, man. I'm sorry, I got to call it what it is. And I'm going to retire from League Freak. Okay, I'm not playing in League Freak next year because of it. It's a super expensive league. It's a league that I invented and created many, many, many years ago, and I came back in for 2 years. And I'm not playing it next year. I'm going to play my Dynasty League. I'm going to play the 30 deep. I'm going to play the 30-team Dynasty League that you and I are in together, and that's going to be it. Because I don't want to chase a damn squirrel around my backyard for 6 months, because that's what fantasy basketball is right now.
It's funny you just talked about your yard, because I was going to ask you if you yell at kids to get off your yard often.
So well played. I mean, so well played. But that was great. That was great, Steve. I like that.
Well,
that
if I
was
wasn't
good stone busting right there.
if I wasn't older,
second guest that threw shade at Rick tonight. It's so hilarious.
That's so true.
if I wasn't older than Rick, I wouldn't have been able to get away with that. Or if he didn't used to be my roommate, but that's another story.
Oh, you're my boy.
Well, dude,
man.
I started 30 deep. You started League Freak. I've won both of those leagues. Did you win 30?
Dude, I lost in the.
I know you were in the Final Four.
Sorry, I don't mean to scream at you. I'm just real passionate about this. I was in I was in the quarters. I made it to the quarters and lost to the best team by one block. No. That's it. One block.
That's heartbreaking.
I had Donovan Mitchell. I had Anthony Davis. I had Paulo Banchero. I had a nasty 8 deep roster team in a 30-team league, and I lost by one block, man. So here we go again, Steve. You know the deal. I'm the Buffalo Bills of the damn 30 deep. I always make the playoffs every single year, and so far I have not won it all year.
You do.
Let me say something here that we're evolving to, right? I do see some fantasy basketball leagues cutting their seasons a little bit earlier, right? Due to the fact that, hey, if you're going to get into baseball, if you're going to move on, you got March Madness coming up. And also due to the fact that, yes, we know players are being shut down. We know teams are surrendering for the season. And that becomes a really frustrating time to manage. So if you are a commissioner, you could set up that meeting and have that, hey, do you want to adjust things? And then maybe we take the league on a series of DFS challenges. You know, you could be playing, because DFS at this time of this year actually becomes a bit easier because you could see the opportunity there. You can see these things and you know who's going to play and not play, and you're only committed to that one night. But I get where Rick's coming from. But I think we could transition, especially now that we have sports betting in so many states. You have the opportunity for prop bets. You have the opportunity to still get in, but not feel as much like, oh, I worked so hard for this many months, and now it's being taken from me.
Yeah, and the problems with that is, I mean, as a fantasy gangster OG with Kamla, we've been doing this forever. Like, we've been moving the end of the season back for years, and there's only so far back you can push it before it's too short, and you're like, well, that's no fun, because I was making a run, and now the playoffs are here, and I didn't make it, or whatever. So that's a little problematic. It's also problematic for these guys like Rick and I, who have been in these leagues with our friends for 30 years, 25 years, to be like, oh, let's just go play DFS. So let's just bet. For the traditional fantasy leagues, you're right, Lisa. There are a lot of other options out there now, which is a good thing. It's just sad for those of us who really care that load management, you never know who's going to play on any given night. It has pretty much buzzkilled the whole thing. And then you get to playoffs, your team doesn't even resemble what it was when you drafted.
Nope.
Thank you. It's not fun anymore. Isn't this supposed to be fun? It's not fun. It's not fun to chase a squirrel in your back damn yard. That's not fun. You're never going to catch it. You're going to hurt your back if you're as old as me and Steve. That's not good. All right. So I don't want to chase a squirrel around my backyard, or, in other words, play fantasy basketball. Here's the thing with cutting the season short, LA. I think it's an awesome idea. I really do. And it's funny you say that, because Steve is in the Cam Dynasty, 14-team Dynasty Basketball League, and I love that league. And I'm going to play that league until God comes to get me, okay? Next year, though, we're 1 year in, and so we're going to tweak things here, with compliance of the other managers here, like Steve and the others. But I have already had that thought, LA, of we do not play the final week of the regular season, okay? We already don't play that. The championship game is this week, which is the second to last week, all right? But did that help anything? No. We have shutdowns everywhere. We have load management everywhere, okay? Embiid missed on Monday. Hallie and Turner are out. Markkanen's not playing, right? Like all of these key guys that got you here aren't playing. So what do? What I'm literally thinking about doing, LA, is chopping off the last 2 weeks of the regular season. But to your point, that's not even going to do it because the shutdowns and the load management's really going to start kicking in the championship week in that setup. So then do I shave 3 weeks off of the season? It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we doing
And
here? Why do we want so much less?
Even if you shave 3 off, it's the same exact issue.
Yeah.
It never goes away.
It never goes away. That's why people that think, oh, let's shorten the season to 72 games, that would reduce load management. It's literally the worst take in sports right now. It could not be more false. Trust me. These guys in these medical teams still would rest these players if it was a 65-game season. Trust me on this.
It's true. We're talking to Steve Alexander. You can follow at Dr. A. Does fantasy hoops and betting at ESPN. So, Steve, when I ask you and I hear these things, when did you guys and how were you guys and where were you guys roommates? Was it a rock music thing? Like, there's backstory questions here because we just found out that this relationship with you two is how many years? And tell us more.
Well, when Kamla was doing the NBA fantasy show on NBA TV in the attic, wearing a hoodie and talking about Magic Johnson, the Magic Man Award. It aired live at 1 o'clock in the morning. It aired live on NBA TV.
Yes.
And I was right there watching it, starting out my NBA career, my writing career. Barely. I just started getting into it. And I used to call his show before I even had the nickname Dr. A as Dr. A. And I became one of his favorite guests to have on. And the producer, if I called up, they'd be like, oh, it's Dr. A. All right. And they would put me right through. So we became buddies and became, we were working the same gig kind of, except he was on TV and I was, eventually writing for Roto World. And then he emailed me one night. We'd never met face to face. He goes, dude, I'm moving to Atlanta because Turner just got sold. And the dude I was staying with, his wife isn't all that keen on me being there. So I got to find a place to go. And I was like, dude, just come live with me. And 2 days later, Kamla and his backpack showed up in my driveway.
That is such an amazing story and a great reminder of how sports bring us together with so many people, right? You felt like you knew him well enough from listening to him. Neither of you were concerned at all. And this friendship has been going for that many years. And Cam, you pulled the game show, you phoned a friend. And you phoned the right friend because you found a place to stay.
Well, we signed up for Twitter together in my family room while we were watching the Masters.
This is such a great story. I love this so much. Rick, what do you remember? And by the way, you got Rick to watch the Masters? Because I'm always talking about golf, and that's not something he's normally watching.
Oh, he loves him some Masters. Or at least he used to.
Yeah. I told LA earlier in the show, the majors I pay attention to. Miss me with the Buick Open and the John Deere Invitational and all that stuff. I literally could not care less about those tournaments. But when there's a major involved, when there's the pursuit of Jack Nicklaus involved, I care. Not like, Lisa and Steffi and people like that. But so here was the deal, LA. I was in Atlanta. The first regime and the rest of the family was up in New Jersey. Okay. So it all happened at once. And so I was looking to make it work. Okay. And do some lily pad hopping while I was in Atlanta working. And I was doing these commutes back and forth, going up and seeing fam on weekends and stuff like that. I mean, it was a blessed life, but oh my God, there was some major logistical problems. And Steve was there to the rescue. But it's funny because the wife of the guy that I was staying with before I went with Steve, and I'm still buddies with this guy. He's a really, really brilliant sound engineer in Atlanta, and he works on Valley Sports, and I always see him in the background at Hawks games and stuff like that. I don't want to mention his name, but he's a great dude, and I'm still buddies with him. His wife hated me. And you guys know that I am like a very affable, friendly, make it work type of dude.
With, Rick.
She hated me. Okay. She didn't want me there. All right. Me and this guy were boys, and he was like, yo, you need a place to crash. Come on over. and we're both deadheads. We both party the same. And so, it was working, but she hated me. So I was like, it was kind of a bang, bang thing. I was like, Steve, I gots to go, man. Like, this ain't working. I need a place to crash. And so here's the thing, LA. Steve lives in Dahlonega, okay, which is way, 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 way up north in Georgia. All right.
Okay.
It's an hour drive to Atlanta from where he lives. All right.
On a good day.
Yeah. So your boy is up in Dahlonega chilling with Steve in the middle of the North Georgian wilderness and commuting amid all of that to do these gigs on NBA TV. Hey, man, it's all about chasing checks. And my blessed friend right here for taking me in.
Well, and Lisa, here's the other cool part about it is I would sit here and I was writing all the Roto World blurbs. Well, not all of them, but a lot of it at that time.
Okay.
Rick would sit on the air on NBA TV and just basically rattle off Roto World blurbs because that's where he gets all his news. He still does today, even though I'm not there.
Could not have done the job without Roto World. I will say that's fact of the matter. Could not have done it.
I would get done with my shift at like 2 a.m. and I would walk downstairs. Kamla would just be coming in the door like, I'm home. And then the party would start, dude. It was just like a frat house.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Casey and all the kids are in bed. Kamla and I turning on the tunes, firing up the Wii, breaking out the beer, and just it was a great time. It was like having a brother living in the house with me.
I love this. I love the memory of when you set up your Twitter accounts. Were you guys already in leagues together, or did this start after Rick started staying with you, Steve?
No, we were already in leagues.
Sports really does it for us. Really brings us together.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much. And by the way, Giannis has 33 points, 11 assists, and 14 rebounds at the end of the fourth quarter.
Oh, wait, there's games going on. I totally forgot. I was back in 2009.
That is
I just had to ask.
It's awesome stuff. I love talking about it.
Oh, I'm telling you, this lady hated me, man. She hated me. I don't know if I've ever felt.
I think she thought you were somebody else. I've never met anybody that couldn't like you. What was wrong with her?
It was different. It was different. I was like, wow, she like really doesn't like me. Like, I gots to go. Like, bye. Okay. It's just it was one of those things. But we were making it work, man. We were making it work.
And dude, I don't even think you didn't even ask me if you could come live here. Like, I just emailed you and said, I was like, what's up, dude? I was like done. It was 2:00 in the morning. You're like, oh my God, dude, this woman hates me. I got to find a place to live in Georgia. And I was like, I'm in Dahlonega, dude. I think you looked it up on a map and threw your crap in the car and started driving north.
Yeah, I think I spit my water when I saw the GPS. An hour north. Oh my God. Okay, let's go. I'm going to hang with my boy.
But you were waiting for your family to get here. Like, NBA TV had gotten sold to Turner, so everything was moving to Atlanta. And
it was all, like I was sort of on the seek and destroy mission, right, in the new city, trying to figure out where to live and set everything up. And obviously, we brought it together. That was a temporary situation. My family came down to Georgia, and then the rest.
We were going to each other's kids' baseball games and eating at Moe's and hanging out at Johnny B's. We were just doing it all. It was
welcome to Moe's, man. Welcome. What was that seafood place we were going to? Right, the guy gave us free food up there. That was dope,
Oyster
man.
Bar.
I love all of this, and I appreciate you at Dr. A. But I want to ask you one last thing before we let you go. We've got the odds for the Rookie of the Year. Banchero, who has been a favorite of Rick Kamla's for this season, at -5,000. Jalen Williams at +1,800, and Walker Kessler at +4,500.
Rick, it's funny. I haven't been keeping up with the Rookie of the Year that much, but while I was sitting here getting ready for this, I was like, I'm going to take a look and see where Walker Kessler and Paolo Banchero are on the fantasy rankings. Have you looked at that?
I have not, but I would bet that Walker Kessler is so I feel a trick question a little bit here. So I would bet he has first round value. Is that true?
No.
Not that high?
On the season, though, he's got 5th round value, at least according to Basketball Monster.
I'm a big Basketball Monster guy. I love Walker Kessler, man. Who would you rather have in reality right now, Rudy Gobert or Walker Kessler? I'd rather have Walker Kessler.
Paolo Banchero's at 202.
Wow. Wow.
It's 57 for Walker Kessler. He's 57th, and Paolo is 202nd. And it's all because Paolo scores a lot of points and he gets rebounds, but the rest of his numbers are just sort of And Walker Kessler is a shot blocking machine. I mean, without looking at this fantasy stuff, I mean, I think Paolo Banchero is going to win it. I really do like Jalen Williams. I really do like Walker Kessler. I think Kessler's so high because he's blowing everybody out of the water with blocks. And I think some of those algorithms favor blocks too heavily sometimes. But I think Paolo Banchero is going to win it. If I was going to bet on who's going to win the Rookie of the Year, I would go with Paolo. But I am really happy to see Jalen Williams up there because I was on him back when he wasn't doing anything, and people were like, he's not gonna do anything this year. But he's been pretty fun to watch. And I tell you what, man, if there's anything that can keep you in the league, Rick, sticking with the NBA for a little bit, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder the next 5 years. Like, that's going to be fun.
I mean, I'm not going anywhere. NBA radio, you cut me, I bleed orange. Like, I'm not saying goodbye to the NBA. I'm not even fully retiring from fantasy basketball, but I am retiring from these redraft, monotonous, chase the squirrel in the backyard leagues. I'm retired. I'm not doing it anymore. Okay. You have watered down your product with this bull crap load management, and I'm taking my ball and my money and I'm going home. I'm not giving it to you anymore. That's all we have. I'm one consumer on planet Earth. LA, you are one consumer on planet Earth. Now, you're a damn influencer, okay? So that's a whole different story. But we are one consumer on planet Earth. All we can really do is take what we intake and what we don't, okay? And I hate to do it, and it's ironic, Steve, right? My background, where I come from, where this whole thing germinated is fantasy basketball. And I'm telling you, I'm quasi-retired from fantasy basketball. It's where it's at.
We will, you know what? I will pin this conversation, Rick. We'll have it again next year at the beginning of draft season when none of this changes. You still draft just as many teams because you love it. You're going to miss it by then. That's how it's going to happen. Steve Alexander with us. What are you working on right now at ESPN, Steve?
He just needs a break. We're getting ready for the playoffs. We're still doing our daily notes column, which is really cool. We talk about who the best streamers are tonight in DFS. We talk about who the best bets are, prop bets, a lot of prop bets, and we put a lot of time and research into it. Do it early in the morning. It's out there all day on ESPN. It's daily notes. Like that's the main thing that I'm working on right now. And for the record, I am going Paolo Banchero to answer your question. And thanks a lot for having me on, guys. This was awesome.
Thank you so much, Dr. A. Thanks for the great story as well. I love this so much. It was great having you. We'll be talking again on Twitter. Everybody give him a follow at Dr. A. Rick and I are going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to check on Ricky's props. We're going to continue the conversation with all of you in the chat. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse on Bettor Sports Network.
Do you believe in the Madden curse? Do you think that's a real thing?
I did. Now, I don't think it's as big of a deal anymore, but it was a real thing for a solid 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it was Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, Peyton Hillis.
LT was never on the cover. I know that.
Was he not? I thought he was one. Okay, well, you do know all the covers of everything.
Yeah, okay. So if you want, I could do this real quick. So Garrison Hurst is the first official Madden cover athlete, 1999. 2000, I believe they still put John Madden on the cover. And then 2001 is where it all started. So 2001, you have Eddie George. 2002, Dante Culpepper. 2003, Marshall Falk. 04, Michael Vick. 05, Ray Lewis, first defensive player on the cover.
Okay.
06, Donovan McNabb. 07, Sean Alexander.
Okay.
08, Vince Young. 09, Brett Favre.
Okay.
10 is a trick one because it's
no way you know.
And Larry Fitzgerald. 11, Drew Brees. 12, Peyton Hillis. 13, Calvin Johnson, I believe so.
You're right.
14.
No way you know all this.
14, also a trick question. I believe that's the Madden 25 cover, and it's Barry Sanders, unless you got it for the new consoles, in which case Adrian Peterson
Oh my God.
was on the cover.
You're not cheating. You're not looking at.
Swear on my life. Swear on my life.
Okay, keep on going.
15, you have Richard Sherman.
Okay.
16, hold on. 16 is Odell Beckham.
Okay.
16. 17, now this is the one I get mixed up because 17 and 18 are back-to-back Patriots.
They are.
17, I think, is Gronk, and 18 is Brady.
You are correct.
19 is Antonio Brown.
Correct.
20, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my goodness.
21, Lamar Jackson. 22, Brady Mahomes. 23, John Madden. Yeah, dude, I'm a cover nerd when it comes to this stuff.
We now know, but that was really impressive. I don't know how.
Thank you.
That's literally 29 of them or something like that. Wow, that is. You did not miss a single one, and you even got the special editions where they had 2 people on the covers.
Monday Night Rants on Bettor Sports Network.
And we are back right here. Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. I absolutely loved learning that something about you, Rick, with your friend Steve Alexander, who I had no idea was a roommate of yours at a period of time, and also had no idea there could ever be a human being in this world that does not love you.
Yeah, revealing stuff for sure, and a little walk down memory lane. It was weird. It really was weird. It was a unique experience. But I had to go. LA, you know when it's time to go. And it was last call. It was time.
Oh yeah, we know when it's time to go. I'd also like to give a shout out tonight because we've got Mike Torres in giving us play-by-play on NBA sports, NBA scores, the scoreboards, all these things in the chat, and Heavy T on air. Tyler Soto, our producer's just crushing it tonight, as well as everybody right here in the chat, just holding it down. Are you ready? Are you ready to talk about how you're feeling about Ricky's props?
I'm feeling like a coin flip right now. I'm feeling like heads and tails. I got 2 good stories to tell, and then I've got the Jimmy Butler thing is not working out, LA. But I had Anthony Davis under 11.5 rebounds tonight. They're almost at halftime. He's got 3 rebounds. Okay, we're feeling
right
decent.
there.
Feeling decent about that. Ja Morant in this Memphis and Clippers game. I'm actually surprised that the Clippers are leading Memphis at halftime 70-64 because Paul George is out with the sprained knee. Kawhi Leonard is not playing tonight. Russell Westbrook has 22 points and 7 assists at halftime. Ja Morant has 14 points. We got to get to 30, basically. 29.5 was his prop. All right, we're basically halfway there. With a comeback required now in the second half. So feeling pretty good there. I don't know what Jimmy Butler did last night, LA.
Let me just go back to Ja Morant, though.
Yeah.
I feel good about this because going into the half down does mean that Memphis is going to come out and push the second half, right? So when you're
100%.
looking at that, you're like, okay, this is where Ja makes up an easy, 10 boards, right there. Just no problem at all. But this is the crazy thing about Russell Westbrook. He just does this, right? He just does this. Effortlessly just does this. When it doesn't even really matter, he just does this. And other players, it could matter, and they don't do this.
I don't want to hear next year when this summer when Russ is a free agent that there's no market for Russell Westbrook and blah, blah, blah. People are just hating at that point. That would reek of some Lamar Jackson bullshit, frankly, right? This guy can still play at a very high level. Now, he's different. He is not an efficient scorer. He is not a 3-point hitter. He's become a better defender now that he's kind of downshifted into role player mode. I still think he's a starting point guard in the NBA on a good team, on a playoff team. And I don't know why the Clippers wouldn't just bring him back. 2 years, $30 million, 15 a year, something like that. Ballmer's got it. They're already a luxury tax team. Bring him back. Like, it's working, right? The problem is Kawhi and Paul George can't stay healthy. That's the problem. Russ has not been the problem for the Clippers.
Agree with that. So let's go now to your disdain with Jimmy Butler. You don't know what he did last night in New York City. Maybe he did realize there's place open until 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Doesn't sound like his style, but he did take the night off. And having a whole night off in New York is like having a whole week off somewhere else.
Well, he's taking tonight off too, which is not compliant with our plan here. Guys, look, we don't in LA, like we don't just throw darts at the wall. I mean, I had 7 or 8 reasons why we're going over on Jimmy Butler tonight, and none of them are coming home for us. He's got 4 points and 6 assists. And we are now, oh my God, we're midway through the third quarter. Like, we're not even close. Like, like with Donovan Mitchell or Halliburton, like, oh man, we could get or Kyrie, we could get like a 20-point fourth quarter. I guess we could, but I'm not feeling real funky and groovy about that.
This again proves our points that when players take days off, they're not as good afterwards.
Right back. You took us right back home, LA. You took us right back to the homestead with that one. Yeah. And so Jimmy played last night. Maybe we're geared up tonight. I don't know. Maybe the engine is slow to get revved up here. Here's the thing, guys. New York, literally the Knicks, defend Jimmy Butler's position, small forward, worse than any team in the NBA. Like LA, if you said you could only play one bet tonight of the 4 that you offered, I would have said Jimmy Butler over 23.5 points if I could only play one. Okay. And it's so weird, right? Like that's the one that I would have hung my hat on, and it's not even close right now, despite all of these metrics leading us to an over. That's why they call it betting, man. That's why they call it
I got to say, though, both sides of the ball here are playing some good defense in this game. When you look at the scoreboard across the rest of the NBA, we've got 75-76 Nets Rockets. You've got 130 to 116 Bucks Pacers. I mean, come on, Drew Holiday, 47 points right now, this kid.
And he's going to get 50 tonight. Hey, I'm seeing something up here. I'm happy to see this. Ben Simmons is on the Nets bench.
Why wouldn't he be?
And here's why. Because Jacques Vaughn said something that we tried to vet the other day on NBA radio, and it was something like, pardon me, Ben Simmons is not going to join us for the rest of the season. And the word "join" kind of tripped me out. Okay, does that mean he's not going to play because of the back? Okay, I get that. But does that mean he's not going to be around the team? What do you mean not join you? Is he just going to go rehab and be off away from the team? And we talked about this on the air a day or two ago. I'm like, that does not sound like the best for Ben Simmons. He's been away from Philly a long time. He was away from Brooklyn for a long time. No, he needs to be a part of the program, a part of the team culture and all this kind of stuff. So I saw him just now on the bench on the Yes Network covering the Nets game. And so that warms the heart a little bit. I was like, why would Ben just leave the team? That doesn't make any sense. So it's cool to see him on the bench.
As you're looking out on the bench, I don't have my television on. Could you give me a little representation of the fit? Is Ben Simmons looking stylish tonight?
Oh God, they just flashed him and it went off. I think he had a striped kind of joint going on. Okay. It looked like maybe a black and white kind of stripe. No, it was a cool looking shirt or sweater or whatever he was wearing.
Yeah, if you're going to be sitting on the bench, you might as well have a good fit. You know what I'm saying? We got a little baseball caller. Nick Durst would like to come on and join us for a little baseball chat. What's going on, Nick?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Speaking of fits, I am loving Rick's button up right now. He better wear that for Easter because it gives me Easter vibes, spring vibes. That's a good looking shirt right there.
Nick, thank you for the compliment. Yeah, I'm trying to dial it up a little bit here, right? Kind of trying to doll it up a little bit here on Wednesday night. So I'm bringing out the stud shirts, man.
I think your wife did a good job picking out that shirt for you tonight.
The third person in one show who has thrown shade at your boy Cam. LA, the third person. And I'm here for all of it because it's great punchlines. It's great sarcasm, man. You all can take your shot.
And Nick, I wanted to open tonight with a comment about the shirt, but before we even went on air, Tyler, our illustrious producer, made an Easter comment about the shirt. I'm like, well, that's done. You can't use the same joke over. I'm glad we let 2 hours go by. You bring it back full circle.
New crowd. The West Coast crowd's coming in now.
It's a new crowd. It's also
me and Rick have some good chemistry. We had a good run. I produced Ricky props for a week on the first week. So
Yep.
So you want to talk some baseball? I'm going to throw a question at you, and then we're going to let you just run with whatever you want to talk about. Opening day tomorrow. It is, as Bettor Boss said, it is the eve of opening day. What's more likely? These were also carefully curated by our friend Rick Kamla, that's wearing the now called Easter picnic table cloth. That's from Tyler, not me. What's more likely, the Dodgers or the Yankees take the biggest tumble in the standings?
I think that it's going to be the Dodgers. They are missing a ton of pitchers. Walker Buehler is out for the year. They lost their shortstop for the season. So they're going to take a step back, I think, here. Their closer situation's iffy. And also, they have to deal with the Padres, who took a massive step forward. I think the Yankees are actually not going to win the division this year, but they're still going to make the playoffs because the AL is very weak. Dodgers, I think, will be in the playoffs as well, but they're going to be a wild card team. But I think they're definitely going to drop off from the 100 wins they were at last year, over 100 wins when they set their franchise record. And I want to give you my walk-up song because I think you guys talking about that as well.
I think the Yankees have more downside than even the Dodgers this year because I like when things go bad in New York, like they tend to really go bad. And I think there could be a real slippery slope. Like, what if Judge gets hurt? God forbid, right? Then basically, kind of sort of your offense leads. I mean, Stanton last year, what, he had 211 or something like that? LA, you know, I haven't been a Stanton fan for a long time. Misses too many games. He's very overrated, very overpaid. No Montas, no Sevy, no Rodon. I mean, douche. 3 hits to your rotation before the trains left the station. That's not conducive. I don't love the Dodgers rotation, but I believe they got more ability to make it work than the Yankees do. And frankly, you've got some pretty lame teams that the Dodgers can feast on, right? You got the Rockies, you got the D-backs. The Giants are maybe just north of mediocre, but the Dodgers should have their way with them. I don't know. There's also just a trust of the program and what Dave Roberts has established out there. I just kind of trust the health of the program to make it work and manage with pitchers and manage with some platoon type of lineups out there. But look, both are going to tumble. That's why we're asking this. I just think the Yankees are going to tumble more than the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think they're both going to tumble, but they're still both to be playoff teams, I would think.
I would agree with that.
All right, it's time now. It's your walk up music, Nick Durst. I know you've had this in your mind. You're a kid, you're playing wiffle ball.
Yep.
You play it in your mind. Maybe there was a boombox. You look a little younger. You were probably raised on CDs and downloading music.
CD
Rick and
guy,
I will go back to the
LimeWire,
8 track. Okay. Oh, LimeWire. Forgot all about that. That was such a blip, right? So what would your walkout music be?
All right. I'm going with Ready For It by Taylor Swift because the competition is not ready for it when I step in the box.
Rick, have you ever heard any of Taylor Swift's music?
Mind blown. I thought you would hit me with Mozart. Or relative to Taylor Swift. I thought relative to that, I thought we'd be more likely to have a Mozart or maybe even like, I don't know, try the Zach Brown band or something like that. Like, I did not see a Taylor Swift bomb coming here. I did not see that. I am tsunami waved over right now. Okay. All right.
I love Taylor Swift. Big Swift fan.
You're a Swiftie. They call you Swifties, right?
The Swifties, right. So I tried to get tickets for the summer concert over here where I am at MetLife Stadium. Impossible. So unfortunately, me and my wife will not be attending, but it happens. There'll be another concert down the road. But I think that song, the beat, it's like boom, boom, boom. Are you ready for it? Is perfect for somebody going to the box. You wouldn't expect it, especially if the pitcher is Rick, thinking he's going to be hearing some Mozart coming up to the plate. So I think that would certainly be the song for me.
I love it, man. War Pigs by Black Sabbath would be my walk-up music.
Obviously.
We'll keep it dark and heavy. Lil Ozzy's Boneyard Action. War Pigs, it might be the best rock and roll song of all time. Possibly I could rock a little Fairies Wear Boots by Black Sabbath, maybe something like that. A couple of my faves, man.
All right, Nick, back to you. What's more likely, Manny Machado or Ronald Acuna or Pete Alonso is the NL MVP.
I'm all in on Pete Alonso this season. I think he's going to hit 50 home runs. I would say it's more likely he hits 50 home runs than he hits in the 30s. He's going to be well over that 40 mark. Before the season here for Bettor Sports Network, we did a futures draft. I picked on my first pick Pete Alonso to lead the league in home runs. Got some great odds at plus 900. And I think Pete Alonso is going to have a huge year. I think he's going to be the MVP. The reason why against those other people is I think the Braves, I think they're taking a slight step back, but they're a loaded roster. You look at Machado, he was awesome last year, but what happened? He got paid again. So he's content now. He's got his money. And also he's got Soto with him. Tatis is coming back. And I think that's going to hurt his voting thing there. And Alonso's in New York. That's going to help. The Baseball Writers Association award dinner is in New York when they give out the MVP. I think if the Mets have any chance this season, I'm a huge Mets fan. I think it's going to come down to the fact that Pete Alonso has to have a tremendous year. And every year since this guy's been in the league, he hits 38 plus home runs, except the COVID year. He has the most home runs in the league by any player since he's entered the league. Last year, he led the league in RBI. So he's right there last year. And I think he is the man for this year. He's who I would be looking at. Definitely to lead the league in home runs, but I would be looking to wager him for MVP.
I like it. I see everything you're saying. Drew Holiday, by the way, just banged a 3. And Drew Holiday, ladies and gentlemen, has 51 points at the Indiana Pacers. Giannis, by the way, we've been tracking his masterpiece of a stat line, 38 points, 17 rebounds, and 12 assists. Oh, my God. Giannis is 14 of 18 from the field. Holiday is 20 of 28 from the field. These guys literally could be blind. Oh, my God. The Bucks are shooting 65% from the field tonight against the Indiana Pacers. This is very, very nutty stuff going on. I got Acuna and Nick in LA. I love the odds. I believe we were looking at it's a plus 850 right now for Acuna to win MVP. The Braves are going to be one of the big boys. Not that it matters, okay? If you have a massive individual season, they're going to hand you the award. Anyway, it seems like the voters don't care about wins and losses. I do. But Acuna has legit 40-40 potential. And even if he goes 41 homers and 35 steals, hits 290, has 120 runs, 95 RBI, the Braves win 101 games, ding, there's your MVP. So I really like Acuna at plus 850. My downshift would be Machado. I really think Machado's going to have a fantastic year out there in San Diego. And look, Alonso's right there. That's why we're asking about this. But I got Acuna. I got Ronald Acuna Jr. I think it's been since 2019 when he went ballistic, and we've waited long enough. He's waited long enough. He's a full year plus removed from the torn ACL. I think Acuna is going to have a massive year.
Well, look, here we are. It's opening day in the MLB. We are happy that it feels like spring in the Northeast, Nick. So we feel like, hey, this is not that scary time where you're afraid to go out to Citi Field because it is a bit chilly, right? But we're not home for our opening day. We are playing the Marlins. What are you looking forward to in tomorrow's game for our New York Mets?
Well, I'm, of course, looking forward to a Mets win. The Mets have the best winning percentage in the history of opening day at .656. They're 40-21 overall on opening day. And then from there, usually it's downhill. But this year, I don't know. I'm so excited, Lisa, for opening day. I can't wait for the Mets season, but I just kind of am tempering my expectations this year with the injury to Diaz. They couldn't sign Carlos Correa. They're lacking a power bat. Daniel Vogelbach, yeah, he was great in the new commercial about the new bigger bases and stolen bases, but he's not going to steal. They have no right-handed power bat. They lack some serious depth. So I don't know. They have a great manager. I think they'll be in the mix again. But this season, I'm very worried about them going all the way to the World Series again. And last year, they continued their streak of breaking my heart for 23 straight years in the playoffs. I was there for the last game against Rick's Padres, and it was just a disaster. And I saw in that playoff series what they need. They need offense. And what they do in the offseason, they brought back the same exact team offensively. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I got the Braves by a nose over the Mets in the AL East. I mean, look, the Braves have taken hits too. Iglesias is out with arm trouble right now. Soroka's not working out. Ian Anderson's not working out. They got the two young fellas, Schuster and Dodd, who I believe are 3 and 4 now in their rotation. And so you've got Freed, you've got Strider, you've got Morton. Actually, spots 4 and 5 are a little weird. I mean, look, they're hotshot prospects. Schuster and Dodd may be all that in a bag of chips, and they may get blown up time after time. But the Braves have taken some hits too. But obviously, I'm not trying to say it's a bigger hit than the Mets losing Edwin Diaz, arguably the best closer in baseball, to a patella tendon situation, which is not just a torn ACL. Like, patella tendon is like, he might not come back and be the same dude after this injury right here. It's literally as heartbreaking a thing as I've ever seen in baseball in my life. I literally still can't believe that he shredded his patella tendon, celebrating a strikeout and a huge win for his country in the WBC, jumping up and down with his brother. I mean, it breaks my baseball heart, man. It really does.
Nick, I got one more for you. We got Nick Durst joining us. We appreciate you so much dropping by on the eve of opening day to talk some MLB with us. What's more likely? I already know my answer, and I think you might know it too. Are we going to love the pitch clock? Or are we going to hate the pitch clock?
Well, it kind of depends where you are in life. I think the older generation, the get off my lawn, there's no celebrating in baseball. Rick, I'm not talking about you. You don't need to light your face up. I'm not talking.
We're getting close to shape, but I'm not sure we got all the way there.
You.
Okay, so I think we're still good here.
Your elders, maybe 10 years, 15 years north of you, they are not going to like it. And I like it as far as like watching on TV. I think we're all going to like it watching. My only issue is when I go to a baseball game, it takes me like 2.5 hours to get to Citi Field. Then I got to pay $40 for parking. So I want to be there as long as possible. I don't want to be in and out in 2.5 hours. There was a game last season I went to the Subway Series game. I think I got there in the second inning. I was in the car for half a day. And if I do that, if I get there 15 minutes late now, I might miss 2 innings. And then you have the horrible 10th inning rule, the runner on second base. So these are going to be quick games. I think the season ticket holders are going to hate it. They're getting cheated. The employees in the stadium working concessions are going to love it because they're going to be in and out of there quicker, as long as it's not an hourly rate. And the people on TV are going to love it. The TV executives hate it because it's less commercial time.
Yeah.
If you didn't like the pitch clock, you could have got rid of the commercial breaks. So I think it's going to be a mixed bag. But I think for viewing purposes on television, I think it's great. In person, I don't like it.
I didn't even really think about the in-person angle, but it makes absolute perfect sense. Nick, you don't ever just take the train out to Citi Field?
I'm in Staten Island, so that would be.
Oh, yeah.
It would take me a really long time.
I get it. Okay, now I know which way you come from. But Rick, I had not even considered that. That is definitely an interesting viewpoint of thinking about sitting there and enjoying. And you've already blocked out that period of time. We're going to be here for this long. We don't mind waiting at Shake Shack for the extra 40 minutes because we've got all this time.
I mean, there's part of going to a baseball game that it's just nice to be in that stadium for 3+ hours and get out of your normal confines. And, like you're outside on a beautiful night, drinking a soda or a beer and eating popcorn. And, it's just a nice, relaxed vibe. And if you want to be intense and scream after every pitch and it was a ball and yell at the ump, you can do all that too. But it's going to streamline it and kind of fast track it. And look, I'm going with the flow of it. I'm trying not to be the get off my lawn guy about the pitch clock. I am going to give it. Here's the thing with it, guys. I don't have any expectations for it. I know it's there. I have not watched any spring training baseball. I'll tell you right now. I have followed statistics. I've followed all the news. I've drafted a bunch of baseball teams. Trust me, I know what's going on in baseball. But I am not going to watch some damn split squad Yankee game. There's not enough time in my day to watch that, okay? But starting tomorrow, I'm going to watch the shit out of baseball, okay? I have 4 TVs on one wall, and I will be well indoctrinated into the pitch clock era. And LA, we'll be talking about it 2 weeks from now when I'm back. We'll have 2 weeks of sample size at that point. I'm anticipating that it doesn't drive me crazy. I'm anticipating that I think it's more likely that I like it than I hate it. So I'll go with that. But Nick, you brought up some good points about network executives and, young versus old and all this kind of stuff. I made a point with Ryan Kirksey in LA, to get the younger viewers. I can't see some young buck lady or, young lady or young dude in high school that's not into baseball at all of a sudden saying, yo, they have a pitch clock, I'm into baseball now. Okay, so I just don't see that happening.
Well,
so I don't
you know
really
what?
understand why they're doing it. I don't need my baseball changed, but I'll go with the flow of it.
Well, speaking of that, Lisa, you know the way to really not get young baseball fans is to put the games on Peacock and Amazon and Apple TV because no one is paying to watch a baseball game. Put them on regular TV, regional
You're
sports.
so
network.
right. That was a big conversation I was listening to on another show earlier today. And I was like, it's so right. The chasing of it and the you might have one subscription that you're sharing with your family member because you're on a plan for the Apple, but you don't have all of these others. And it is incredibly true. We're going to invite you weekly into our free DFS challenge, the 200-player challenge that we'll be setting up every Wednesday. You need to get into it with us so we can smack talk and have you come up on here. And Nick, we appreciate you joining us. We've got lots of NBA to talk about when we get back. Thanks so much, Nick Durst, joining right here. Before we go, though, I want to remind you that we're getting you ready for the upcoming baseball season with the Bettor Baseball Preview. From fantasy baseball to MLB betting, you can access our exclusive content for free right now at bettorsports.com, featuring Adam Ronis, Ray Flowers, Kyle Elfrink, and Cody Decker. Get player profiles, prop bets and futures, sleepers and busts, our 2023 fantasy baseball draft, and more at no cost. Register now at bettorsports.com to get instant access. The Bettor Baseball Preview at bettorsports.com. We will be back after this break. We're going to recap what Giannis did with those 38 points, 17 rebounds, and 12 assists, and Drew Holiday, 51 points, 8 assists, and 8 rebounds. Let's go. You're listening to Lisa Ann Rick Kamla right here. Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern.
People are always very critical when it comes to fantasy baseball. I would say this, and I'm a big fantasy basketball guy. I love fantasy football. There's no fantasy sport that's even close to being as hard as baseball. The season, having to figure out, especially if you're playing weekly, which I don't like to play. Weekly with the 2 starts, having to look at the schedule and everything. Well, I mean, you play in basketball as well. There's no fantasy sport that's harder or more involved than baseball. It takes forever. You take a whole night to do your fab on Sundays.
Yeah, baseball is the most challenging, and I think that's why the popularity has gone down. People don't want to work. They don't want to put in the time. There's a lot of strategy that goes into it. You have to know the player pool. That's why I love doing these 15-team, 50-round drafts. I mean, 750, 800 players. You lower all the minor leaguers. I took Spencer Strider last year in my first draft Champions League in round 40, and that turned out to be a phenomenal pick. So it puts you on to knowing everything about every team. And yeah, it's a lot of work. So I definitely think that it's a challenge, and I just feel people don't want to put in time and work anymore. And I'm not saying fantasy football is easy. It's not. But you cannot tell me that fantasy football is more difficult than fantasy baseball. I play both sports. I don't have an allegiance to either one. I love both. I play both. But, fantasy baseball is a grind, man. You got to put in months of preparation. Spring training is important. They helped me get Carlos Rodon a couple years ago. I was not on him until the spring, seeing the velocity and the changes. So there's a lot of things you can discover in the spring. And this is the first real full spring training that we've had in years. Now, there is the WBC that is going to cut into it a little bit, and some guys will not be at camp, but the spring can help you discover. And again, you're talking about, even if you're in a 12-team league, I mean, you're probably going to have 23 to 30 roster spots. And then the 15-team leagues and the minor leagues, I mean, you got to know a lot. I mean, it takes a lot of skill to win a fantasy baseball title. We've seen it, right? You can have an average player win a fantasy football league. We've all been in leagues where yeah, this guy is not that good. He's probably going to win a championship at some point. Things break right. He has a great draft, picks up a player off the waiver wire. That's not happening in fantasy baseball, man. You do not see bad players win fantasy baseball championships. You just don't. It's a 6-month season. You can't afford to take a week or two off from fab. You can't do it. Last year, say you took off the week where Taylor Ward was the big pickup. You lost a player that was a contributor most of the season. I know we had a couple of down periods, and Taylor Ward was a player I added in multiple leagues, but you can't take that time off. You can't afford to miss out. And, every little detail is important. So I know fantasy baseball is not as popular as it used to be, but I personally feel it's because people don't want to work hard. They just don't. Everyone wants the easy way out now. They want easy access. That's why people don't read anymore. They want a quick video. Fantasy baseball is a lot of work, trust me. But you know what? when you win a championship, it's really gratifying.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
That was so great. A little surprise visit. We are back with you here, Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, Bettor Sports Live. By the way, yes, Wendy, I am a Mets fan. And yes, I am excited for this season, but not exciting. The text you sent me, the tweet I then retweeted, the news that Mike Torres is giving us, and I am going to the Wizards Knicks this Saturday. Was really excited to see Julius Randle, and now already diagnosed with a sprained ankle, had to be helped off the court tonight.
Yeah, he was underneath the basket and went up in the air and came down on a foot and pretty badly turned that left ankle. And so there's concern about Julius. Like, I don't think it's broken. I don't think his season is over, anything like that. But it was a pretty nasty left ankle turn, LA. Was it garden variety or a little? I'd say it might have been a little north of garden variety. So we're probably looking at an absence here. Now the Knicks are in a situation in the East where they probably got the 5-hole locked up here, and it's not like they can make upward mobility and go catch Cleveland. They're 4.5 games back of Cleveland. They're 2.5 games north of Brooklyn, so they're basically locked into that 5-hole. But they got to get Julius Randle back and healthy in time for a first-round playoff series against Cleveland. I mean, LA, think about it. We are going to get the Donovan Mitchell Bowl after the Knicks did not trade for Donovan Mitchell. We are going to get Cavs and Knicks in the first round. Like, how freaking cool is that? And I hope Julius Randle is going to be able to play in that. But I would guess, LA, that he's going to miss a few games with this. I really would. I don't think this is going to be one of those things where he can come back immediately.
A sprained ankle is usually how many games?
Here's the thing, because there are ankle injuries that when I see them, I go, ooh, that's a monther. And, meaning you're out a month. I wouldn't say this looked like a monther, but it looked like maybe a 2-weeker, maybe a fortnighter. I'm not trying to make light of the young man who got hurt, but it looks like a few games, LA. I would say the next 3 or 4 games. I mean, obviously it's tough to gauge, but it did not look, hey, man, he'll miss a game and come back. Hey, man, he'll miss 2 games and come back. I think it's a little bit more significant than that.
Well, there's a possibility I will not get to see him at the Garden on the court this Sunday, which is a total bummer.
You will be welcome to the Obi Toppin experience. Ooh, and now that he is a must-have in fantasy leagues right now. A must pick up in fantasy leagues. Obi Toppin is a really good 3-point shooter now, and he's going to put up some pretty big stat lines here without Julius Randle.
Well, that's what I'll be looking for, but we're also looking on that same court right now for your Jimmy Butler, Ricky props. Jimmy Butler did not have his fair share of his own coffee line today.
I guess not. Jimmy Butler is, no struggle bus. But it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. Midway through the fourth, he's at 10 points and 5 assists. The assist mark should be good enough if he were covering the point prop, which he's not even close. We had to get to 24 to cover the 23.5. So Jimmy Butler's letting your boy down tonight. God, he's one of those guys, LA. When I fade him, he goes off. When I play him and need him, he doesn't get it done for me. And there are just some guys like that you just go with, and you're like, this guy always burns me. So I'm off. So maybe going forward, that'll be the case. Let me check on Ja here real quick. Wow,
you check on John. Well, I say maybe going forward, because I visualized next season we're going to be setting up a ton of NBA best ball drafts. Jimmy Butler will be highly drafted in our best ball drafts because we won't have to worry about the day-to-day operations. This isn't really this is a little bit out of character, but he does have that hot and cold streak that he often goes through. And maybe he took a rest night last night because something's bothering him that we really don't know about. And here he is not getting it done in MSG.
That could be the case. Ja Morant, by the way, is like you said, LA, down at halftime, coming out with a balled up fist in the third quarter. That's what's happening. He had 14 at the break. He's up to 21 now, and we're 5:18 to go in the third. We got to get to 30 to cover the 29.5. So Ja Morant just put another point on the board. He's up to 22. So we're trending in the right direction here with Ja. And obviously it helps that the Clippers, without Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, are very competitive tonight. And in fact, let me see, is Norman Powell playing tonight? Norman Powell is back finally for the Clippers, but coming off the bench, the story is Russell Westbrook. 27 points, 5 of 5 from downtown and 10 of 20 from the field. He's having the game of the year. He's having his best game of the year right now tonight at Memphis against Ja Morant. Look at Russell Westbrook, man.
Just getting it done. Something's going on there. We got another update right here. Tight game on ESPN with the Mavs 91 and the 76ers 89 going into the fourth quarter.
All right. So with this one, LA, I don't even really want to talk about the game. Here's what I want to talk about.
Where are we going?
I want to talk about the game outside the game, the MVP race. Okay. Let me ask you a question. How are you feeling about Joel Embiid not playing Monday night at Denver against your boy Rocky and the Joker in the MVP showdown in Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell circa 2023? How are you feeling about Joel Embiid not playing in that game?
I thought the timing of it was really not great, right? That's the showcase that we all want to see. We're looking at both of them now. Not everybody maybe, but you and I have been looking at both of them very close in this MVP race. We looked at the fact that Embiid has been playing more games. It's just one of those things, right? Did he get there? Did the trip bother him? Did the altitude there bother him? Because it is a little bit different. Maybe he's inflamed somewhere, not feeling it, but that would have been a great matchup to see. Now imagine the Denver Nuggets fans who were really excited for that matchup as well didn't get to see him play either.
I hated that DNP from Joel Embiid, okay? And I told everybody Monday on NBA radio, I was pretty hot on Monday. I was pretty hot on that show, LA. Antonio was hot about the NBA rescinding Luka's 16th text so we could play that night against Indiana. And I was all hot and bothered about Joel Embiid not playing. It was quite a show. And my whole thing was, all right, I'm pissed right now. This is gruesome load management. This may be the ugliest and lamest and softest and stupidest load management game of all time. Okay? This is the MVP showdown that we've waited all year to get, and Joel Embiid's not playing.
Yeah.
Okay? Feisty mad about it. And I said, there is a conspiracy theory going on here, I think. The conspiracy theory is, and by the way, I had people on NBA radio with everybody listening, and nobody sent an email to my boss to sink my battleship, okay? So that doesn't mean that I'm right, but it also doesn't mean that I'm wrong, all right? Here's the conspiracy theory. And I told you, let's not talk about the game. Let's talk about this. This is much sexier. Here's the conspiracy theory. Okay, Joel Embiid leads Nikola Jokic for MVP right now. He does. You talk to most people, he's taking the lead. Okay, the only way, 2 ways that Embiid can lose MVP right now: get an injury, okay, or play against Jokic. Jokic has a massive game on you, and he beats you in his crib, like Embiid did to Jokic earlier this year when he went 47 and 18 in the game-winning dagger in Jokic's mouth. Okay, so Embiid. And I believe in concert with the higher-ups, with the coach, with everybody, okay? They said, here's what's going on. We are not playing you against Denver, okay? And here's why. Because if you play against Jokic and Jokic goes off tonight, all right, and beats you, that's going to shift the MVP narrative in his favor, okay? Let's not welcome that trouble. Let's not give Jokic that fair at-bat. You cooked him in Philly. That's it. That's the only head-to-head they get. It's the only data point they get in this regard, okay? So they basically were preserving Embiid's lead for MVP by not exposing him to a possible loss to Jokic on Monday night. Okay, LA? So that's my conspiracy theory. And I put an asterisk on it. And I said, we won't know if this is accurate until Wednesday when we find out if Joel Embiid is playing or not. Because if he does not play on Wednesday, then it's not a conspiracy theory. He's hurt. It's back-to-back games missed, separated by a day off. Okay, that's an injury. It's not load management. I will shut up, and we can move on to another topic. But I said, if Embiid plays on Wednesday night, which he is, then this is a load management DNP for Joel Embiid. It's a rest DNP. And essentially what it is a giant middle finger to every single person on earth, okay, that gives a damn about basketball. That was a huge FU, the double finger salute to everybody. And so I'm super salty about it. I think it sucks that
I get
I
it.
didn't
I
want
mean,
Joel
this
Embiid
is
to be hurt, but you have to read the room. You have to play
Yeah.
in this game, okay?
Yeah.
You have to play in this game. If you're going
What
to
are you
rest him,
afraid of?
LA,
Right? What
if
are you
you're going to
afraid
rest
of?
him, LA, sorry, I know I'm getting. If you're going to rest him, how about you rest him on Saturday at Phoenix, coming off the Friday night game at Golden State when Embiid almost had 50 points, right? And then you rest him the next night. You don't rest him 3 nights later at Denver. You rest him on the second of the back-to-back at Phoenix, okay? So I am salty with
I get it. I get it.
like,
By the way,
I don't
we
know
have the
how
Knicks
much of
are
it
going on a big
Embiid, I
run
don't know
right
how
now
much
with
of it-
5 minutes left up at MSG to win the season series 3-1. So they're going on a big run right now. So they must be feeling like they want to get it done for Randall, knowing that he's dealing with a little bit of pain and concern of when he's going to get back out there, and the Knicks are pulling it through. That makes me pretty happy. It must be a lot of energy in there. And I will say this, there was so much energy in there last Thursday night when I got to go to those 2 games. March Madness has not let me down this season. It is always spectacular. Michigan I'll tell you what, Michigan travels well. Michigan traveled really well, and Nashville traveled really well. You see the energy just pouring out of the street after these games and how excited everybody is. And there's just a different vibe with college basketball at this point where anything can K-State, like the energy was amazing.
Okay, so we're going back to last Thursday. You went to MSG for the Sweet 16. So you said the energy was amazing. Did you have a good time with your people? You said you were going to be in a suite, and I told you it's going to be like a 6-hour run here. You got 2 games that take forever because of all the commercials. Like, how long were you actually at MSG for this doubleheader?
We came in at the end of the first game, and we were in a suite, and it was really nice because at 10, we each had our own individual TVs in front of us. We could actually watch other games while we were looking down at the arena, which was amazing. Thought I'd throw a little curveball to everybody. And while you were on that rant, which, by the way, Jason Wolf says Cam with some legit anger over the DNP by Embiid. Absolutely lame. He didn't play against Jokic. Also, Jeff saying he thinks Jokic still has the advantage. A lot of this is, I get it. I understand it. I thought the conspiracy theory at first as well. Embiid has been playing so well. The timing of it was awful. There's no doubt about it. But the curveball I'm throwing all of you is that while Rick was on that rant, I set up a DFS challenge for opening day in MLB, 11 games, free challenge, and I tweeted it out. So anybody that wants to play day 1 in a free challenge on DraftKings can find that challenge on my timeline at the Lisa Ann right now.
I am
some wicked multitasking.
Well, I was going to say, like, I'm very, very impressed here. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to like it, and I'm going to. Obviously, right now I'm not going to go in and, should I go with this guy or this guy? But I liked it, so I'll go through my likes here, and I'm actually going to, So I will enter this, and we'll see how we do.
And for everyone in here, this is our warm up because we're going to be doing this every single week. I'm going to make sure I send it to Nick Durst. He's going to want to be in this challenge. But yeah, I feel the emotion and I completely understand it. And I thought the timing of that was really bad. It says something. I get it. I totally get it. But now we've got Embiid back out there, which makes it seem even more shady.
It's almost like we are all signing up to the drive-through window for a fast food hamburger. And I know like if it was the last food on earth, you would not eat that. Okay. I get that. Most of us would. And literally this is somebody in the back hawking a loogie on the hamburger and giving it to you. That's what this is. And that's why it gets me so feisty. Okay. This is not how it should be. And we're all just supposed to be suckers and out here, hook, line, and sinker. Well, watch every guy. Like, I feel like a sucker right now. I do. Like, you think you can play us to the level that you are not going to expose Embiid to a Jokic game. And literally, it's Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain circa 2023. and you are going to strategize Embiid off the court for that game.
I don't want to rain
terrible.
on your already other thunderous feelings right now. I don't want to make the vibe that you're experiencing this level of emotion worse, but the 11.5 rebounds, which you went for the under, I'm just going to let you know. I don't know what's happened with Anthony Davis, but he already got 8. And it's only the third quarter.
He's at 8 rebounds right now. He had 3 in the first half. We were looking good on that. Yeah, just the load management. I mean, if, we lose a prop bet delivery. Obviously, I'm not trying to give out losers here.
No.
End of the third quarter, he's at 8 rebounds. So, it's right there. Who knows how this is going to go? If he gets to, I'm going to say it this way: if he gets up to 11, we win. We'll hope for the best here. Good game. Lakers up at Chicago, 85-76. Davis is having a big game, 24 and 8. LeBron was 17 and leading Chicago right now. Vucevic, which is why we went under on Davis with the rebounds. Vucevic is already at 10 rebounds with 23 points and 5 assists. And so good game in Chicago right now. I'm going to be watching this one when we get off the air, LA.
Well, I'm going to add a little bit more NBA because we got this. What's more likely? Damian Lillard plays in Portland next season or plays somewhere else, Rick. What's more likely?
I think it's placed somewhere else.
Finally.
Finally.
Right? Finally. Right? Imagine if you would have done this. How upsetting is it going to be? He goes and plays for somewhere else and he thinks about the reality that I could have done this 2 years ago.
That's a good point. It is. I'm not sure he would sort of unpack his thinking like that. I don't know Dame like that, but it certainly could have been. There was certainly speculation about him leaving Portland 2 years ago. And he maintained the loyalty and I'm 10 toes down and all this kind of stuff. There was a recent soundbite from Dame where he talked about, by the way, Ben Simmons is not dolled up tonight. He's got like kind of a dingy gray t-shirt on and some like big old black pants. So yeah, I was wrong. He is not sort of
That's a good look. You don't want to look too swaggy when you're not playing for the rest of the season. Even LeBron will just be in a warm-up. But like back in the day, because the players do pack 2 outfits. One if we win for my presser, one if we lose for my presser. So I just want to know what he was rocking with. I didn't check his Instagram. He usually posts a little photo before. I like to check the fit. Back to Dame.
So yeah. All right. So, and I love the tangents. Dame had a soundbite recently where he talked about the frustration of a rebuild and sort of this, every year, we'll come out and get him next year and all that. Like he said, I ain't trying to like be a part of that. Like I want something more. And I'm paraphrasing what he said. Then we get Shams Charania yesterday saying that he is now wondering if Damian Lillard has played his last game with the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, trust me, I do not need anybody to do any thinking for me. Okay. But I have always maintained a real respect space for Dame with the not wanting to leave Portland thing. A lot of other media are like, get him out of there, get him out of there. I don't want to play that game. Okay. If we get some intel that leads to the divorce of Dame from Portland, then I want to go down that road. But I don't want to like talk about a story that's not really a story until it's a story. And when Shams Charania wonders if Dame has played his last game in Portland, ding, it's a story. And so we talked about it a lot today, me and Antonio. Here's the thing. I came up, so I do think we're entering the summer of Dame. I don't think he's going to ask out. I don't think it's going to be ugly and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that it's going to be a mutual collab between him and the team to find a new home for him and a home that he wants to go to with the pieces that Portland would want back. And LA, when you think about it, the Los Angeles Lakers make a ton of sense to me. He would fit in with LeBron and Davis. You have a bunch of young pieces you could send up to Portland. Golden State makes sense to me. You would send up Poole Kuminga and Moody and Picks. The Knicks make sense to me, okay? You would send Barrett and Grimes and McBride and all these dudes that they just had to have as opposed to trading for Donovan Mitchell. So I think the summer of Dame is on, LA. I really do. I think he's going to be playing on a new team next year. And it's probably going to be going from Portland to a big market and probably the championship fast lane.
And I think he has a lot to offer. And I think he could add a lot to quite a few teams out there. I don't think his best basketball is behind him. And I think he's just a solid dude for the fact that he really stayed committed for as long as he did. We've seen players go to multiple teams in one season. You know what I mean? Like he really did commit to Portland and really did put his best basketball out there nonstop. A fun player to watch. I'd like to see him no matter where he goes. What is fascinating you on your television right now, Rick?
Okay, so I trust me, I'm not even trying to be impolite. So Josh Hart comes over to give Jimmy Butler dap after the game. Knicks win 101-92. This is going to be a viral meme, or it should be. Josh Hart comes over to Jimmy Butler and puts his hand out, right? Like just five, little like half bro hug, like we do and all that kind of stuff. And then you move on to your locker room. Jimmy Butler started complaining to the referees and left Josh Hart hanging. Okay. I'm telling you, Josh Hart that's why I was like, oh my God, is he going to shake his hand? He never shook his hand. And Josh Hart just walked away. He literally ghosted a handshake with Josh Hart to complain to the refs.
This is going to be a meme. This will be a discussion on major shows tomorrow. I cannot wait. I love when I'm up late enough to know what I get to look forward to tomorrow. Scott in the room said he just entered the free baseball league. It's not a league. It's just a DFS challenge. I thank you for entering. We have 4 contestants so far. I'm committed to the fact that I can get 200 players by tomorrow. This is going to be a weekly drop. We'll make sure you all know about it. I have to let my teammates and the show in first. So I'll get it to you guys early, Rick. You, the team, our producers, everybody, but then everybody will get it. They fill up quickly and they're fun. Daily lineups are just like, especially for a big day like tomorrow, I think it's going to be awesome to have what I sat here and thought about it. I was like, you know what? I think you can set this up in like less than 2 minutes while Rick's talking. And I did it.
I'm very, like I said, I'm very impressed. Yeah. So that happened. Jimmy Butler completely ignored and left Josh Hart hanging right there. And I'm not really buying it from Jimmy. Okay. When you show up that lame at Madison Square Garden after we go out on a limb on you and, over on these props and stuff like that. I don't want to hear about the refs, man. To me, that's a motor thing. LA, the Miami Heat scored 92 points tonight in today's NBA, where the refs don't even allow you to play defense. 92 points. Okay. The Miami Heat, LA, are the weirdest team in the NBA. They are weird. Okay. I don't understand them. Their talent is better than their record. They recently won 7 out of 10 games. It seemed like they were gaining some traction. And then this. Okay. They're just a really, really weird team, man.
And these things happen in all sports. And what can we do about it? Really not much we can do about it.
Roll with the punches, man. Roll
For
with the punches.
those of you that are staying tuned here, you're going to get a replay of Moose and Keith. It's absolutely fantastic that we're now streaming on multiple platforms and able to have so many people here in the chat. I hope Wendy is still here. She may not be, but I will be tweeting her later to remind her, because Wednesday will want to get in the DraftKings challenge. Every week, you're going to get a free challenge, 200 players. I'll set it up. I'll send it out. It is on my timeline for opening day. It is the eve of opening day. You will be watching some games tomorrow after work, right, Rick?
Oh, yeah. I won't have the games on while I'm on the air on NBA radio from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. I don't like having when I'm doing that show, like when I'm with you here, like we're covering live sports, right? And so I don't want to have a baseball game on when I'm doing a basketball show. It clutters my brain,
Oh, that'd be way too much for me as well. Way too much. I mean, you're working at different, and obviously if you see something great, you're going to want to talk about it. Or if you see an injury, you're going to want to talk about it. And it's not
like,
relevant.
Ooh, like a reaction. Like, what are you reacting to? Nothing.
Yeah, we could be all over. You could have an NBA game on and an MLB game on. We could talk about both of them, but that's not how it works during the day. Everybody can hear him every day, 5 days a week. For all of you, Bettor Boss, I hope you get in this DFS challenge. It's right there. You can retweet it at the Bettor Network. We're going to get that thing filled. I'd like to thank our producers. Mike Soto, thanks so much for helping out tonight. Tyler is always on, right? Tyler is always crushing it. We appreciate you. Rick Kamla, we're going to be missing you very much next week. We will put some little notes together, and we will do our own version of Ricky's props. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to share with your friends. Make sure you're following on social media, and thank you for being right here in the chat. Another awesome Wednesday night. Thanks for all the compliments here on what a great show it was. Jeff got to listen all night. Fantastic. Thanks to our producers. Thank you, Rick Kamla, Lisa Ann Rick Kamla, signing off. Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.